Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the UK Sim Racing Formula 4 series as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform known only as iRacing, available on PC. Tonight marks the opening round of the 7-round season, and all the racing action today will be taking place at the legendary British circuit known as Donington Park. And as we get ready to go racing this evening, it is the case that in kicking off a whole new season, there is plenty of racing action up on the cards, and well, we've got an absolutely packed schedule for you tonight. However, before we get to that, we must do some early housekeeping and inform you that tonight's broadcast is effectively a post-race broadcast. The racing that you're going to be seeing is not live. It did occur earlier this week, and we'll come to the schedule very shortly as to when it did occur earlier this week. What we can point out to you is that your commentary experience, your broadcast experience, will be as if it were live or as close as possible, given the fact that I, as your commentator and host, do not know who wins, who has any instance, and what happens over the course of the races tonight. So therefore, it's absolutely raw and fresh in the mind. And I do encourage any of those of you tuning in who may have participated in the races at Donington not to spoil things, because it will simply upset the viewing pleasure for those who are uninitiated to this series. Do keep it a little bit quiet, but get set for some fantastic racing action tonight. This is, of course, UK Sim Racing's first foray into Formula 4s as an official championship, as hosted on iRacing, and it is the case that the UK Sim Racing community, one of, if not the biggest sim racing community on iRacing in the United Kingdom, hosting a number of events, whether it be for GT3s, alternating Formula 4s as they're taking those steps now. And speaking of steps, let's step our way into the season ahead. So it is the case that today we kick off at Donington Park, and the races occurred on the 15th of June, so this Wednesday just gone. It will then the case that after Donington Park, we continue the story in 2 weeks' time at Alton Park, and that will be technically on the 29th of June. That's when the racing will occur. However, that broadcast will be brought to you somewhat a bit later due to the scheduling situation, but we'll clarify the exact post-race and post-round broadcast dates later on. And it will be the case the same for Knock Hill as well, in round number 3, where we go from the circuits located in England all the way out to Scotland. It is the case we go up to 5 Scotland the Brave for Knock Hill, the rather tricky circuit in these Formula 4s. It's going to be a hard one. And again, round number 3 will be a broadcast that is post-round. But you can see that after the opening 3 rounds, we will be experiencing a live broadcast for the final 4 rounds. Round number 4 being at the Snetterton 300 circuit, after which we then head to Silverstone in Milton Keynes for what is round number 5, and then it will be Brands Hatch on the 24th of August on round number 6, a circuit very close to my own heart, given the fact it's just up the road from where I live. And then our last round will be a visit to the United States of America for Lime Rock Raceway, and that will bring the curtain down on the 7th of September. Indeed, each round separated by 2 weeks, providing all of our drivers ample opportunity to get the practice in, get set and ready to go. And well, we have over 50 drivers signed up for this series, and we're going to have at least 20 of them take into the circuit tonight for season opener. But talking about our season opener and our track, let's go to the track and introduce our venue. And that is Donington Park National, located in Leicestershire in the United Kingdom. This circuit consisted of 10 corners. It is essentially the shortened version of the full Grand Prix circuit, and this image provided to us by simracingwiki.com. It is a circuit which is much loved, and Donington Park is considered to be essentially what is the heart of British motorsport. It is the first circuit where it's one of those situations whereby multiple racing series were held in the United Kingdom. It has played host to so many different series, whether it be Formula 1, truck racing, GT4s, GT3s, you name it, it has raced at Donington Park all the way back since 1931. And with our drivers making their way around this circuit tonight, what have they got to watch out for? Well, they've got to watch out for one very short lap, but a very fast-paced lap, and on top of that, a lap which leads multiple elevation changes, where it be the run all the way down from turn 1 at Rockgate all the way down to the old hairpin at turn 4 via the Craner curves of turns 2 and 3. Alternatively, the uphill run from the old hairpin up to McLean's via Starkey's Bridge at turns 5 and 6 into turn 7, and then the uphill braking zone, the blind braking zone that is Coppice Corner at turn number 8, before the run down the back straight to the chicane at turns 9 and 10, which essentially cuts off the Grand Prix variant of the circuit, and we return to the start-finish straight for the racing. Well, it's the case that I think this picture may speak 1,000 words, but I think it's better to see the circuit in its actual physical form, and that's why we now move from what is the circuit map here provided by simracingwiki.com to the live pictures. And well, let's, as our drivers are getting ready to go, let's take you through that schedule for tonight. It is the case, as you can see, that our scheduled times in British Summer Time, that's BST or UTC +1, is as follows. In approximately 10 minutes time, we'll be getting underway with our qualifying session. That'll be 15 minutes with all of our drivers taken to the circuit to set their best possible laps for the purposes of qualifying for race number 1. And as you can see there, yep, would you believe it, we have got 3 races on the schedule. And it's 3 races within each round, so that's a grand total of 21 races, indeed plenty of racing action. And that's why our drivers are given a whole 2 weeks to prepare for each and every round, because they'll be put to the test and their stamina will be tested over the course of each race evening. Whereby straight after qualifying, we'll be going into race number 1, which will be a 20-minute sprint, and that will conclude at approximately 20 minutes past 8 before we return 5 minutes later for race number 2, which is another 20-minute sprint, albeit with a slight difference, and that is the top 10 finishing positions of race number 1 are reversed to set our grid for race number 2. So if a driver finishes the winner in race number 1, they start in 10th place for race number 2. Whereas if they finish 11th in race number 1, well, you guessed it, they start 11th for the purposes of race number 2. So that's why you want to finish inside the top 10 in race number 1. And then after our second sprint race, it'll be the case we take a brief break before returning for our final race of the evening, race number 3, which will be a 40-minute feature race, which will kick off at approximately 10 to 9 this evening, and see our drivers go racing around Donington Park for one more time. And indeed, that race, the grid will be set by a full reverse grid based on the results of race number 2. Now in the commentary box is myself, Paul at TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on, and I'll be bringing you all of your racing action over the course of the series 7 rounds. And as we get ready to go racing, we do look to our drivers now as they're making their way on around. And it is the case that right now in this practice session, this final practice session, if you will, we can see Jake Werrell there, the privateer, making his way into turn number 1. And just to take you through some additional housekeeping to how you can keep track of the drives, you'll see that on the time and tell on the left-hand side of your screen, as it looks as though it's not Jack, I should say. We're already getting one name wrong. We're doing a Murrayism. We won't keep doing those, I assure you. But Jack, we're all there, getting a little bit wrong at turn number 1 and parking the car on up. You'll see on the left-hand side of your screen, it is the case that our drivers do have a coloured sash next to their name. So if we're looking at Adam Holloway, for example, from BPR Esports, he has a gold sash against his name. And what that means, he's racing as part of the gold class. Now, there are 3 classes in this series for our drivers. The top class, if you will, or the creme de la creme, based on our pre-season testing and the overall I ratings of our drivers going into the season, is the platinum class. And you'll see there examples include Jack Atkinson, as we do see Atkinson from UK Sim Racing making his way through turn number 1. Here's the case of the number 26 driver here is one of our platinum drivers, as denoted by the slightly off blue coloured stash. Then in terms of our gold class, we already mentioned we do have a gold class here, but we do have a few gold class drivers taken to the circuit site. Holloway and Werrell were 2 drivers. We also have Duncan Watts, for example, here. They are in our second tier, if you will. And in our third and final tier, it is the silver class. They are denoted by what is a silver slash or a grey slash against their name. And that is the likes, we see Duncan Watts, they're getting it wrong for We Went Car Racing. That is the likes of Matthew Green, for example, as we see the Sim Party Racing number 33 driver here making his way on through and up towards what is Coppins Corner at turn number 8. As he comes through, it is the case all our drivers getting set to go racing, and he rolls his way on around right now. But that is our 3 classes there, and of course our drivers are battling against their class peers. There is an overall championship but also class championships. That will be the main focus of the class championship, and the championship itself is purely a drivers championship. It will be the case that all of our drivers will be competing to be the best of best within their respective driver class. And with just over 5 minutes to go before we go into qualifying, it does look as though right now the pace is being set by Adam Holloway as he makes his way across the timing line there on a 105.072, and as he makes his way on in, it is the case going into turn number 1 once again into Rockgate Corner, looking very composed right now is the Briton. Of course, the majority of the venues in this series being located in the United Kingdom, albeit the final round being a tour to the North American continent, but it does, of course, relate to the fact that in the real world we do see a British Formula 4 series taking place at a number of very infamous British circuits. I recently personally had the pleasure of watching the Formula 4s go around Brands Hatch in the rain. I can definitely tell you that was a very interesting thing to see at Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. But of course, we're not at Brands Hatch, we are at Donington, and this circuit, we don't have rain in iRacing, but any of you who are Formula 1 fans, you will cast your minds back to Senna's legendary drive in the rain, where he charged up through the field and disappeared off into the distance. Well, we're not going to be seeing any rain as it's not modelled in iRacing yet, but will we see some legendary charges here? And indeed, a lot of our drivers will be trying to set the pace and the tempo today as they get ready to go racing. Not long to go now. We have got less than 5 minutes on the clock, and we do look to the chat, and do not be shy. Feel free to say hi in the chat. We are able to see on the Twitch chat, of course. This broadcast is being brought to you on the UK Sim Racing Twitch channel, and that's twitch.tv/UK Sim Racing. And we say hello there to Nathan Willoughby. We also say hello to 306 Rally. I believe that's also David there, as he's known. And we also say hello there to Dunkersaw W, and also to my guy Sire, and also to Craig Pierce. And well, just to clarify, a little comment there from 306 Rally, which is, I'm not familiar with the voice behind the stream. Indeed, this is my first commentary for UK Sim Race. I'm very grateful to the guys at UK Sim Racing for giving me the opportunity to bring you all this racing action. And well, if at any point you do have any feedback in regards to the stream, whether it be the audio levels or alternatively some of the graphics that are being displayed, do let us know. We can look to fix things over the course of the broadcast, and if not, it's the case that between rounds we can look to upgrade the stream for your viewing pleasure and ultimate experience. Now, in terms of the Donington Park National Circuit, what we're going to look out for, well, these Formula 4 cars, of course, it will be the case. They're not quite Formula 1s, they're not quite in the league in terms of the engine power, the hybrid units they're using, but these cars do have quite a bit of downforce on them, and they're rather snappy and responsive. And this circuit is all about maintaining speed through corner apex. It is the case that whilst we have 10 corners here, the vast majority of them are not really preceded by heavy braking zones per se, unless you talk about the chicane at turns 9 and 10, but more so with regards to the idea of trying to trail brake into apex and carry the speed on through the corners. And we can see here at the old hairpin, Samuel Hooper following on through here, the privateer, as he makes his way through turn number 4, and now heading under Starkey's Bridge and up towards McLeod's at turn number 7. But because the way the apexes are shaped here, a lot of them are late apexes, alternatively blind apexes. If we ride on board here with Samuel Hooper, you're going to see this in action as he makes his way to Coppis. It's an uphill braking zone, and you can see you don't actually see the corner until you've already applied the brakes to go through Coppis. And that is one of the challenges at this circuit. In fact, because the apexes are so late or blind, it's about having the faith and the confidence to carry the speed and the momentum in the car into each and every corner apex, and that will separate our drivers today between the drivers who do well and the drivers who are really on form, is in terms of how confident they are in carrying the speed into each corner, as it is the case of Hooper right now, just playing a little bit of nose to tail with one of his fellow drivers that gets it set. Now, a lot of our drivers in this season are privateers, but we do have a couple of drivers who are racing as part of esports teams as well. But this series opens to everybody of different skill levels, so long as you're open to fair and clean racing, which we love at the end of the day. But this Formula 4 series being a new foray for UK Sim Racing, we see there one of the drivers getting it very wrong in the rear of the picture. And I do believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, that was Adam Holloway there, who could take it just one wheel beyond the track limit and saying hello to the grass and a bit of a spin. And that's the one thing with these Formula 4s as well. They're absolutely fantastic on the tarmac, but as soon as you put a wheel beyond those track limits and onto the grass, where it is the case that hold your breath and just try and point the steering wheel straight, as most of our drivers now are parked in the pits and are waiting to go into that qualifying session. As we see Nathan Willoughby there, the Effect Esports driver, decided to do a little bit of rallycross there coming out of turn number 4, just carrying a bit too much speed into the old hairpin. And well, as the Briton makes his way back up to speed right now in the 00 car, we should also point out in regards to the qualifying and the racing, because we are looking at an iRacing replay file, we will not be able to bring you in race replays. We are bringing you occasional clips at the end of a race, but we won't be able to do flashbacks to events that occur. That's just a technical limitation that we do have to deal with. So we're going to let you know about that in advance. From round 4 onwards, when we're live, in terms of we're actually broadcasting and commentating over the racing live, it will be the case that we can bring you those mid-race replays, but we're quite limited on that today. So apologies for that, but I just wanted to make that clear, just in case any of you are wondering midway through the broadcast, why can't we go and have a look back and overtake that occurred further up the field or further down the field? It is a limitation that we're held back by. But we're just under 30 seconds before we get that sharp and crisp transition into what is the qualifying session. What are we to expect in qualifying? Well, I do expect we're going to be seeing a number of drivers trying to use the toe of their peers around this circuit, because it is quite a flat-out circuit. There are a lot of portions of this circuit. I would say about 50 to 60% a lap, you are running flat out and trying to carry speed at maximum possible through the corners, particularly under Starkey's Bridge here and up towards McLeod's. And that does mean that if you can be in the toe of another driver and time it right, starting your lap about a second behind the driver and close up to them in the toe over the course of the lap, you will gain quite a bit of lap time. You could gain a couple couple of attempts. Of course, the downside, as we do get that transition to qualifying now, is the fact that when you're in the tow, you do have the dirty air of the driver in front to deal with, and that dirty air can upset the front aero balance of the car. And these cars, of course, being open wheel races, they are very sensitive to that aero, and that is something that all the drivers were prepared for in the pre-season practice and testing. But as our drivers make their way out onto the circuit, it is the case that we'll have approximately 25 Formula 4s making their way on out, assuming everyone is able to get out. No technical issues with any of the cars, like any of our drivers' steering wheel equipment. And well, we do go into qualifying now, and we go racing. We can see the times on the left-hand side of the screen are what are effectively our times left over from practice. So we will wait and see as we see Rob XLB there, parking back up in the pit lane, and well, decided not to go out just yet, waiting, I think, for most of the drivers to go out there and put some rubber down on the track surface. And of course, as the drivers make their way on around, we will see track temperature go up. That is the case. But meanwhile, we look from a driver in the pits to Atkinson here in the Platinum class, who makes his way through Coppice Corner and now down the back straight here towards the chicane. And as he comes charging down, weaving from side to side here, getting at that tyre temperature, really trying to build up that sidewall temperature. And we are right on board with Atkinson as he takes us around for our first flying lap in this qualifying session. He's getting a nice straight line run through the chicane and heading down towards turn number 1. He goes across the timeline and onto a flying lap. Looking at full turn number 1, heading up into Rock Gate Corner as he looks at his braking marker. Braking just in the pit lane exit and going down the gearbox to third gear. We'll charge on through, getting a nice amount of apex curve, fighting the steering wheel. Now down through the crane of curves here, through 2, and rolling the car down. You can't really see turn 3, it disappears over a dip in the road, but then it comes down through turn 3, full commitment up to 6th gear, and now braking into the old hairpin here, down to 4th gear, carrying the speed through the apex before charging up the hill towards McLean, through 5 and 6, up the Starkey's Bridge he goes, completely flat out committed here, and now heading in towards what is a turn, and turn into the clean corner. And as he rolls away through, coming down the 4th gear, he's got a bit of traffic in front that should peel out the way if he knows it's coming, but it doesn't look as though they do, so it's going to be a bit of a compromised lap. And you can see there how Atkinson having to favour the throttle a little bit. He's had a bit of a compromised run through Coppice Corner, but still going down to 4th gear, and now charge that back up through the gearbox. You can see weaving from side to side. He knows his lap has been disrupted. See it come down to the chicane here, braking about 60 metres from the corner and coming through 3rd gear, and now going on to another lap. But that disrupted lap will mean he's not going to be able to put in the time he would have wanted, and he will need to go again. As meanwhile, we do look a little bit further back, and we can see by comparison here, we do have Aberdeen coming up through. We are just going to reload that overlay there. We have a slight technical glitch, and it is the case now. We do see Aberdeen making his way up towards turn number 1 here. So 105.318 that time around, but as he rolls his way on through, looking good so far is Aberdeen. Oh, good spin. We had a driver go for a spin there, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. That is Matthew Green, who's had it go very wrong, go off circuit. Although we can't quite see Matthew Green at the moment, but as we continue to look around, it is the case that we do have here Holloway coming up to the timeline in the gold class, and as he makes his way across the line, what would it be for Holloway? It's 106.520, and well, not improvement so far. We are trying to get those timings updated for you, ladies and gentlemen, given the fact that, well, they shouldn't be there at the moment, and we are trying to get it so that we can see what the exact timings are on screen. We will wait and see if we can get those confirmed for you. Nothing at the moment, I'm afraid, so it looks as though we do have a slight technical glitch with regards to our qualifying times. These things do happen, of course, but we will wait to see what else comes through as we do look to what is there our timings once again. And in fact, we can see an improvement there from Duncan Watts as he takes a spin coming out to turn at number 1. I think he's just gone a little bit wide, and the gold class driver there did improve to what was a 105.63, and that's moving into P13. But as this qualifying session goes on, we are almost 4 minutes in now, and as he makes his way down the hill, he'll be thinking about not running as wide through turn number 1, just getting it hooked up. Meanwhile, we look from Watts to what is Chris Hitchen, who's down towards the back of the field at the moment in terms of lap time in P22. And he's currently making his way on through. He is on a flying lap here. Very colourful livery there, I must say, for that Formula 4 of Hitchen. And as the silver class driver makes his way through the final 2 corners, will it be this time around for Hitchen? Well, he's got quite a few drivers in front to wait and see where he's got. He's going up in both sectors 1 and 2. Sector 3, he did not improve as much, and in fact, a 106.321 there. Well, he has just set a personal best, in fact, and Hitchen makes his way around right now. He's not quite close enough to be moving up into the top 20 as yet. We've still got plenty of lap time out there. Indeed, we've still got just over 10 minutes this qualifying session, And well, as we look here from one of our silver drivers to one of our platinum drivers, it will be the case that Nathan Willoughby will know that he's got a lot of time to play with as he makes his way down and around through the chicane. Now, as he does here, we jump on board with Willoughby to see what he can do. Improve in sector 1, he can improve in sector 2, improve in sector 3. There's 106.3 and 4.3, which is not a major improvement compared to his previous best, so he continues on here. Willoughby, as he makes his way down towards the old hairpin once again. Nice good run through turn number 1. Keeps it compact there through the brain of curves until turn 2, and down through turn 3. You see how much he's straight lining the run through turns 2 and 3. Now breaking it into the old hairpin, breaking at the start of the entry curve, and as he floats on through there, a very nice and smooth line, not overextending, but not over pushing the car at the same time. And as he makes his way up towards turn number 7, a bit too much curve there at turn number 6. You can see the car's actually being lifted a little bit on those left-hand side wheels as he makes his way now up into the office here. That blind apex, of course, the blind summit braking zone, gets it very nicely hooked up, carries the speed on through. Down the back straight here. We're expected to see a lot of the overtaking down this straight because of the natural nature of the slipstream and whatnot. It is a case of breaking his way now down into the S's. He's improved in sectors 1 and 2. Can he make it a golden lap here as he comes across the line? The platinum driver, we will wait and see. He crosses the line and it is 105.6 and 27. That puts him P12, currently P7 in class as he makes his way on through. As he comes right on through here, and you do know there's just a little bit of feedback from one of you guys with regards to the commentary volume being up. Well, hopefully that will fix things a little bit for you as we just made some very slight tweaks there, ladies and gentlemen. We take the feedback there from my guy Si, and we do also say hello to El Neil in the Twitch chat as our drivers continue to make their way on around here. And as they do, it is the case right now. We do have just over 7 minutes of this session still to go. In fact, just over 8 minutes if my math serves me correctly. As we do see there, Smithhurst for the platinum class getting it a little bit wide coming out to turn number 1, and as he rolls his way on down the hill this time, Smithhurst really having to drive on edge here to find that lap time. Some drivers are able to just find the lap time naturally, whereas others are really having to push, and that can be the major challenge, of course, in these machines. They're machines where you've really got to be on the edge. You've got to use the full width of the circuit, and the pace here is absolutely brilliant. And currently our pole sitter is Rob XLB, who right now sitting on a 104.836 as our time in tower tells us. It is the case that the gold driver outclassifying the platinum drivers. Well, we will have to wait and see whether he will be able to hold on to that as he makes his way here through turn number 8, and the Skittles livery driver there, well, it'll be the case he'll be tasting the rainbow of joy with regards to taking that pole lap if he takes it all the way to the end of the 15 minutes. But right now he's definitely putting in some very strong laps here, and well, he's only at 200 ahead of Atkinson at this point. Atkinson trying to come on back, but it's close between the two of them as they make the way to the timing line, and well, XLB this time not improving. It's still got plenty of time in this session, and I do also believe that some other drivers going out there on quite heavy fuel to begin with. Others deciding, well, I think it is heavy fuel all the way through, but I think some drivers may have loaded the car a little bit less and just trying to get 1 or 2 laps in and then coming into the pit. So different strokes for different folks here in terms of approaches with regards to the fuel in the car. As we see they're just drifting his way into the old hairpin. Goodness me, XLB really going sideways there under brake, and that's about the limit you want with regards to rolling the car on through. But as he comes charging up towards what is McLean's now, it is a case of looking good. But as we get that clarification, there is a case from Duncan W, as it is a fixed setup series, and I should point out this is fixed setup, so our drivers are all running the same setup on the car, and they're all required to have the same starting fuel, which means they're all starting on a full fuel tank. Thanks for clarifying, Duncan. I do appreciate that. And as we do see here, XLB making his way on down, the fuel will come out of the cars, and as it does, that will only cause the lap times to improve. Assuming the track temperature doesn't rise too high and starts to shred the tyres too aggressively, but of course our drivers can come into the pits if they are considering changing the tyres for a new set of boots, if you will. As we look from our pole position drive, provisional pole position right now, to one of our silver drivers, we look to Edmund Webb, who, as he makes his way around, in fact, he's going to park the car up on the exit of turn 1 there. He's decided that he's had enough. He jumps to the pits. He's currently a provisional pole sitter in the silver class. He is a whole second, practically, of what is XLB, but that time of a 105.84, a very good lap time. And, well, can Daniel Nags take him on? It doesn't look like it at the moment, given the fact that Nags is currently being serviced in the pit lane. And what about Eden Frisner here? Sorry, is Eden Frizina here, as we do see the P3 driver in the silver class, P17 overall, making his way on down. And well, that is a livery that does take me back a few years to the 2009 Formula 1 Championship. Of course, that is the Brawn GP livery, and well, a very notable livery for its colours, and also the fact it has an absence of sponsors there, with the only major sponsor in the car really being Virgin. Of course, the company owned and managed by Richard Branson, albeit with a bit of controversy around Virgin, depending on what stories you hear. But in this case, no controversy with regards to the car in the Formula 1 series. Well, there was the whole controversy around the double diffuser, but that's by the by, as I understand it, and a very successful car. And could we see Frizina achieve similar results here in the silver class in a car which will be getting a little bit of inspiration from the Brawn GP team as the privateer makes his way down towards the S's. Well, not the S's, my apologies, that would be on the GP loop, down towards the national chicane as he makes his way on through. But right now, as he tucks into the slipstream there of what is in front of the Platinum drives, he does not improve and with his lap time set on pole, but it is the case he does find a 106.67 there, but it's not enough to improve too much at the moment as he makes his way on around, but continue to put in those lap times. Indeed, all the drivers are, and well, we now have less than 5 minutes to go. Approximately 4 minutes remain in this qualifying session, and of course you can follow along with regards to the times in the top of your screen as we do look from our silver class driver here to another silver class driver, and that is Javier Antonio Blair here, who right now is finding himself out in the gravel. And I believe that's turn 1 by looks of things. It's gone a bit wrong for Antonio Blair as he makes his way back onto the circuit. And, well, it's not a happy qualifying session. And currently his lap time, his best lap time stands at a 107.43, which is the best part of 2.6 seconds off of the provisional pole lap set by XLB. As we do wait to see whether Blair can find his way a little bit further up the order in the remainder of this qualifying session. But we cut from him to what is right now our P3 driver in the gold class and currently P7 overall, and that is Holloway here as he just moves out the way, and I think to let some of the traffic come on through. He doesn't want to impede anybody on lap, otherwise it will be the case that I think there might be some words to the stewards. But we do see here that Holloway now getting up to speed, doing a little bit of side-to-side weaving here, just getting a bit of tyre temperature back up and getting a feel for that steering wheel just before he goes. And he's got quite a bit of traffic in front of him, to be fair, and I think he's just given himself enough time, but he's given himself about 2 seconds space before he really starts to feel the effects of the cars in front, and that's about the space you need here if you want a clear lap and what is a relatively crowded circuit. And I do wonder where it's the case. With there being 25 cars, some drivers have struggled to find that clear space, as we hear that Cranswick has just improved, and that is Carl Cranswick has just improved to 105.59, which is putting P11 overall, P5 in the gold class. But we focus here on Holloway as he makes his way on down and in to the old hairpin as he rolls his way on through here. Holloway looking very good as he makes his way up towards what is McLean's. But right now, all our drivers continuing to count down the clock here and really focusing on delivering those last laps as we say hello in the Twitch chat to UKSR's Chris Eddy. UKSR, of course, being an abbreviation for UK Sim Racing, as our drivers make their way on around here. Not long to go. And right now, well, we look to our pole sitters in each of the classes after we follow Holloway's lap to the end. He's only got 2 corners to go here, 2 very fast corners, and the number 14 driver looking to now the chicane. He flows on through, takes a little bit of the sausage curve there, turn number 9, but it doesn't destabilise the car too much. And as he rolls his way on out right now, it is the case that he does not improve, and in fact 105.309, not quite there compared to his previous best of 105.27. As he makes his way on around, it is the case that we can see currently standing overall pole position and provisional pole in the gold class. It is XLB here, or it's Rob XLB on a 104.836. We see a car drifting across the road there, and that I believe is Hooper getting it very wrong. Meanwhile, in the platinum class, currently P2 overall, your provisional pole sitter in the platinum class is one Jack Atkinson, as we do see him rolling his way through turn number 4 here. He's only 200ths off, 23 thousandths to be specific. That's how close it is on that front row shootout. And then we do have at the head of the silver class right now, and P15 overall, Edmund Webb, who has parked it in the pits. He's decided enough's enough, and he will not have time to go out there and put another lap in. Well, is that confidence well placed, or is it misplaced? We'll wait to see. We have not got too long to go as the timer is ticking down. Less than a minute now, and we say hello in the Twitch chat there to Exella Blaze, who is saying hello to everyone indeed. Hope you're doing well, and indeed hope everyone's doing well. It is Friday evening, of course, so the working week's over, and well, speaking of something that is over there, that's Kevin Burke, who's had a really nasty run. He's had the mother of always sideways runs through what is the chicane, and that has compromised him, and also the driver is tucked in behind him. As meanwhile, with the laps that are still ongoing, we don't have too much longer to go in this session. 30 seconds remaining. There will be some drivers who get another lap in, and in particular Jack Werrell will get a lap, and we do ride on board here with Jack as he goes on around. Will he put another lap in? I would presume so. So let's stay with the gold class driver as he comes across the line, and well, that lap there was not an improvement. He'll go on for one more, and as he comes into turn number 1, now it is do or die technically in terms of trying to nail that lap time. You can see there on the fight against a little bit of understeering the car and the braking into turn 1, but got it hooked up for a late apex there. And in fact, we've had the transition, and well, it's the case we do cut away straight away from what is qualifying at the 15-minute mark. And now let's set the grid. So to take you through the grid for race number 1 here in the season opener of the Formula 4 Championship, it's Rob XLB on pole by only 0.02 of a second in the end, ahead of Jack Atkinson, the gold class driver, beating the platinum class driver to pole position. And then it's Lee Aberdeen in P3 starting off at row number 2 with Jack Werrell alongside, and then it's Sam Gunstone and Austin Campbell on row number 3, followed by Adam Holloway and Cy Anthony on row 4, Samuel Hooper and Carl Cranswick on row number 5, followed by Paul Smithhurst and Nathan Willoughby on row number 6. Behind them on row number 7, it is Duncan Watts, followed up by Alex Lewis. And then we have our pole sitter in the silver class, Edmund Webb in P15, the privateer, just pipping Daniel Nags to the post in P16 there, Daniel Nags. Eden Frizina in P17, and he lines up alongside Matthew Green. And it's Joe Newman and Kevin Burke on row number 10. On row number 11, Paul Boucherat and Chris Hitchen. And then on row number 12, Sydney Million and Craig Tillerston. And then on the final row, starting in P25, Harvey Blair out of all our drivers. And now we get ready to go racing as we look to the grid here. It's not long to go. It is a standing start in each and every one of the races. And we now wait for that gridding process to be complete. We don't have long to wait. Only 2 minutes to gridding process, and then we will be going racing. And it will be about who gets the run at the lights. It's quite a long run up towards what is the turn number 1 corner. And, well, XLB will know to defend the inside. He has that inside line run, of course, starting on pole. Odds on the left, evens on the right, and now we wait to go racing. And that gridding process complete, ladies and gentlemen. So now we wait for the countdown here in terms of lights. And it's lights out, away we go here for the opening race of the Formula 4 Championship. And in this case, they'll be getting a good start. But we can see Jack Atkinson there battling side by side with Aberdeen into turn number 1 as they roll the way on through. And as our drivers make it through the opening corner, Atkinson going a little bit deep, and XLB doing the same. They both go wide. That's going to cost them places by the dozen. As meanwhile, Leo Aberdeen keeps it safe on the inside. And as they come charging down here, we've got an off there through the crane of curves. And meanwhile, Jack well under pressure from what is Austin William Campbell. They go side by side into the old hairpin. And it looks as though neither driver wants to give up here in the battle for P2. It's platinum versus gold as Werrell's on the outside now, coming up through Starkeys and in towards McLean's they go, and it looks as though Campbell's got the move done. And now Sam Gunstone also trying to get on through, but I say that Werrell coming back around the outside there through McLean. Jack Werrell not giving this up, and in fact trying to hold on to P3 as Gunstone goes on through, and we've got a driver off there in the rear of the picture, and that is Eden Frizina. The privateer's got it very wrong and taking a turn for the worst at McLean's. But meanwhile, we look from the back of the field to our leader and Lee Aberdeen. The privateer has broken the gap open to 0.8 of a second already as they all make their way down into the chicane. And as they roll them through, in this case, it's been a very hectic opening lap. We've got a driver off there. That's Cy Anthony who's gone off, and I believe there was contact there with Rob XLB as they make their way down on towards the start-finish straight. But as we do look to our pictures here, we've got 3 wide coming down into the opening corner, albeit they settle their differences quite rapidly. As we see there, Alex Lewis, the privateer, battling with Holloway, albeit it is the case the platinum driver here facing off against the gold driver. He won't gain anything other than track position by beating the gold driver, but he'll want to go hunting after Atkinson, who's just up the road. And indeed, a lot of platinum drivers here out of sequence versus some gold drivers, and it is really causing them to struggle as the drivers make their way on around. We see a little bit further back there, that is Joe Newman, the privateer in the Jaguar livery inspired machine, as he rolls his way through turn number 6 and up into turn up the inside of the Cognizant Formula 4, and that being driven there, I believe, by Cranswick. They're side by side making their way on through McLean's and coming up into Coppins here, and we see a car spun there. That that is Rob Exelby who's got it very wrong, and as they make their way through the coppice, they're still both side by side. They're not giving it up, the two of them here, and well, this is absolutely brilliant stuff. But Newman has got ahead for now, but Cranswick trying to come on back here. This is the battle for P10, the battle for P3 in the gold class, and as they come running down to the braking zone, it looks as though Newman's got the move done for now, but we'll have to wait and see whether there is a comeback a little bit later. Of course, this is a 20-minute race, albeit we're only 2 minutes in. We're only a tenth of the way to the finish, and as they make their way down to the braking zone for turn number 1 once again, they now all start to settle into line of stern order here, now starting to build up a bit of momentum and see how their pace pans out versus their rivals around them. But one of the biggest gainers at the start, our leader right now, and he's continuing to gain. He is running away with the proceedings, and that is Lee Aberdeen right now. He is 1.9 seconds clear of P2 driver and leader of the gold class, and that is Jack Well, who's chasing after the platinum driver here. And speaking of being chased, we ride on board the gearbox of Jack Well, the privateer, being pressured by Campbell here, the platinum driver behind as they make their way up the hill. And you can see that Campbell under pressure from Gunstone in return as they make their way through coppice once again. Now, what do you do in this situation if you're Jack Well? Well, I think he wants to try and hold on to the P2 overall. He'd love to be on that overall podium. He does want to give way to the platinum drivers, and so I think what he's going to have to try and do is back Campbell into Gunstone through some of these heavier braking zones, particularly through the chicane and also into turn number 1. That may just give him an opportunity, but as we look from the gearbox here to the exterior cameras once again, you see a bit further in the rear of your picture there, that is Alex Lewis battling for P8 overalls. We've got a driver off, that's Si Anthony off, who's taking the spin towards the pit lane entry, but meanwhile Alex Lewis rolling on through and losing the position to what it, well no, that's Alex Lewis, the privateer. We've got a run wide there, and that's Alex Lewis running wide as we see Cranswick coming on through and Newman also coming on through. They're the two gold drivers making their way through and making quick progress, and Joe Newman here trying to look up the inside into the old hairpin versus Willoughby. They're going to try and go side by side. Willoughby goes very wide, and that car, oh, he's just caught it there. Good credit to that man. If it's the case that if he doesn't play cricket, you may want to consider doing it, because that was a good catch and a half as he makes his way now up into what is McLean's. And right now the Effect Esports driver just having to settle back down with Cranswick coming on through, but Cranswick getting it very wrong there coming through McLean. You can see the pace is lost, but Willoughby just not able to go for the move up the inside there, having to decide that discretion is the better part of valour as they make their way down the back straight. But as they come roaring on down, you can see just how powerful that slipstream is down the back straight, how they close up very rapidly. And right now I think there's a bit of pressure from Alex Lewis behind as we ride on board here with the P11 driver battling for P10 overall, P6 in the platinum class. You can see here Alex Lewis looking up the inside, but Willoughby going to the outside. They're thinking he's got enough clearance. And as he makes his way into turn number 1, it is the case that Lewis having to back off for the time being and look for that opportunity. And as he comes charging on down here, well, I think he might be a bit of a Manchester United supporter based on the logo or the insignia that's on the front of the car. And will he have better luck than Manchester United have had in the Premier League over the course of the 2022 season? We'll have to wait and see. But right now it is the case that Lewis getting a good run. In fact, they would be getting a little bit wide as they go side by side here underneath Starkey's Bridge and heading up into McLean's corner. Willoughby's going to have to back out there. It's the case they do narrow into 1 into the braking zone for McLean's. If you're on that outside line at turn 6, and Alex Lewis being patient there and waiting for Willoughby to make a mistake. And well, as they roll their way through 5 minutes through, we've still got another 15 minutes to go plus the final lap. And right now it is looking as though some drivers just having a bit of difficulty in settling into that rhythm as they make their way down towards turn number 9 as they come into that braking zone. And we can see there is the case Boucherat. We haven't really talked too much about the silver class, to be fair. And well, if you want somebody who's come through the field very rapidly, this is our biggest gainer of the opening race so far, and that is Paul Boucherat, who has come from what was P21 overall up to P11. He's leading the silver class right now. He has gained massively, and well, credit to the privateer. He stayed out of trouble and just simply got his head down. His main rival is, I believe, Daniel Nags, who's in P13. It's the best part behind of what is about 2 seconds, and well, it is the case that gap could close up at any time. As you see Nags there in the rear of the picture in a very colourful liveried machine, but right now Boucherat really doing a good job and leading in class, and he'll be happy with that as he makes his way up into McLean's once again. But as he rolls his way on through it, we do look back up here to the battle for P3 overall, and well, you can see it is the case at the foreground of this battle is Jack Werrell, the gold driver, but Gunstone under pressure of Atkinson here as they make the way on through. And of course Gunstone and Atkinson battling for P3, the final podium position in the platinum class. And as they make the way across the timing line once again, it is the case no change between these drivers. They all stay nose to tail, but that pressure is building, and I wonder who will be the first to crack or go for that move, dare to go for the move here. Given the fact these races are short, but at the same time they have to be mindful of the fact that one wrong move this early on in the race and it does put you out of contention later on if you're battling for the lead of the race, or alternatively the podium, and then you're involved in a major off, it could put you all the way down the order, and then you've doubled the workload as they make the way on around. But as they come charging up towards what is turn number 7, once again here, Gunstone waiting for that opportunity, and it will come as meanwhile Cy Anthony having to try and make a recovery drive out of this after that off at the exit of the chicane, whereby he's almost into the pit lane there of going backwards. But the Symphony Esports driver here from Wales doing everything he needs to right now to recover, and he is, as I understand it, our lowest placed Platinum driver down in P15 overall, P18 class, as he makes his way up into McLean's once again. But as he comes roaring on through here, it is the case we do look back up. Oh, going to spin side by side here, go Gunstone. And also what is there, Werrell, I believe. And as they make their way out of the chicane, they continue the side by side run. In fact, it's 3 wide here, coming down the start finish straight. And as they make the way on down, it looks as though they're the 555 car not getting involved in the 555 car a bit further up the road. And meanwhile, Gunstone here holds the position versus Atkinson and Werrell, who was the side by side driver with Gunstone coming through the chicane. Well out of position here, and Gunstone having to go defensive versus Atkinson down through the crane of curves. And as they make the way down to the braking zone here for turn number 4 into the old airpit, it's going to be the case that Atkinson holds that inside, but he has to give the space. They're still side by side as they make the way up the hill. This is fantastic stuff. As you can see, Werrell now wants to get involved. Atkinson on the outside, but he'll have the inside line coming up into McLean's corner, and Atkinson gets on through. Werrell can't find a way through. He tries to cut back here to get the inside line up into Coppice. This is bringing Holloway into the mix as well. Holloway now at the back of this quadrangle of cars as they make the way through Coppice and down the back straight. And as they come roaring on down, we can see there that Holloway, I think at this point, just thinking, just keep fighting, guys. And, well, I'm not going to get involved in this right now. I'm just going to watch and seize an opportunity. But Sam Gunstone at the head of this pack, he must be absolutely under pressure. We see they're just literally on the limits coming out of the chicane. He goes on to another lap. And as they come roaring on down here underneath the start-finish line gantry, it is the case that Gunstone having to weave from left to right, and he has to be on that outside now. As it is Atkinson up the inside. Atkinson going for the move. He takes a bit too much apex curve. It unsettles the car very heavily there, and now Atkinson under huge pressure as they make the way down into the old hairpin, and Werrell's trying to put the pressure on here. And I think Atkinson might be swearing under his breath right now, just saying to the gold driver behind, can you just leave me alone? I want to battle for P3 in the Platinum class. I don't want to battle you as well. But I think Werrell and Holloway are absolutely loving this, getting to mix it up with the Platinum drivers from the gold class. And Gunstone right now holds in that position, and Atkinson having to try and find another way to get at the P3 driver as they roll their way up towards Coppice once again, this for the 9th time of asking. But as they come on around, it is the case that this opening race of the season so far has definitely produced a lot of battles. It shows how close it is here and how relatively close the lap times are, but even between the classes, let alone within the classes. And as they make the way down, we have had 1 retirement so far, and that was a retirement, sorry to say, from Matthew Green. We also do have Chris Hitchin in the pit lane doing repair work to the car, and we have had a couple of drivers who have had a very difficult race. But right now we do have 20 drivers on the lead lap still, as we see Atkinson here. Well, he's going to try and go around the outside of Gunstone as this battle for P3 continues. He can't quite find a way to upset the momentum of Gunstone, but maybe this will be the opportunity when he comes down through Craner as he rolls way down through 2 into 3. And as they come to the old hairpin this time, Gunstone on the outside. You can see Werrell there literally squirming left, right and centre behind the pair of them, thinking, where could I get into this? And Gunstone right now just does not have the momentum to break away. He's under so much pressure as they go side by side through 6 up into what is 7, but it is the case that Atkinson has to back out again. He's got his nose just in there on the inside, which means that Gunstone does have to give some space. Of course, open wheel races, you do have to be much more wary of the space compared to closed wheel races, because you're not racing against a block of a machine, if you will, you're racing against suspension axles. And as they make the way through turn number 8 and down towards 9 and 10, it is the case these 4 still staying strong, and it's enabling the top 2 just to disappear off into the distance, it must be said, as Gunstone has to go defensive here. They're going through what is the chicane and rolling onto another lap, and as they come charging them through, Campbell is the best part of what is 2.5 seconds up the road, and Aberdeen has just put off into the distance. He is 5.8 seconds clear as Gunstone goes defensive this time, and of course every time he goes defensive, this really takes the pace out of the car. And as we see that Atkinson literally just on the very ragged edge of adhesion as they make the way down. I think this time Atkinson's really going to commit for the move, going down through 2 into 3. He's going to have the run, he's got his nose ahead. Gunstone's not going to let it go though, and as they make the way on through, I think Jack Atkinson this time may have enough momentum. It goes on the Starkeys, and as they make the way up towards McLean's, it's side by side all the way up the hill. Atkinson on the outside into the braking zone with Gunstone on the inside. They roll them through here, and Atkinson has to stay wide. He's got got the momentum, and Gunstone has not as they come through Coppice. And as they make the way into turn 8, the move is done, and it took, oh goodness me, and he's lost the rear, and with it Gunstone has come with him, as it's the case, the Formula 4 there is missing its front wing now, and that is very unfortunate for both Gunstone and Atkinson as they make the way back up to speed. And Atkinson, with so much pressure on him to get the move done, in the end made one mistake, and it's all unravelled, and that has promoted both Jack Werrell, oh goodness me, and it's the case, it's not over yet. Atkinson, with that damage to the car, is not in a happy place, and I think the UK Sim Racing driver at this point will just try and limp it on round, perhaps trying to bring it into the pits. They do have a fast repair available, but right now, in fact, there we go, he's going to get it into the pits here, and that'll be repair work. And Gunstone the same, they're both into the pits afterwards. A brilliant battle, but it's ended in tears as we do look from what is our battlers to our leader right now, who'll be thinking, what earth's going on behind? I don't mind. And Lee Aberdeen right now just absolutely flying in the 122 car, 3.3 seconds ahead of Austin William Campbell, and these two just in a world of their own, running off into the distance. And understandable, they haven't really had to worry too much about the fighting since the opening match. They were able to make the break. And speaking of fighting, we do have here, we've had some replacement for the battling we saw for P3 overall, and the fact we do have a battle building for what is oh my goodness me, in fact it is for P3 overall still. I apologise, ladies and gents, as we look to the blimp camera here, you can see this long stretch of cars. That's P3 overall down to P8. P8 at the back being Nathan Willoughby. Meanwhile, at the front of that pack, that's Jack Werrell. It's the case, these guys are battling still, and right now, speaking of the first of this battle, it'll be Joe Newman who's defending on the left-hand side in the number 97 car, the gold driver, versus the platinum driver there of Lewis as he tries to go round as Alex Lewis. They make the way through the corner. You see Joe Newman there having to give the space, and actually a little bit of oversteer as he came out of turn number 1. The rear end just slightly releasing, and as they make the way down through Crane of Curves and head into the old hairpin here, well, Newman's got defence to the inside, and oh goodness me, now that was the minimum amount of space that Alex Lewis could be affording. Both of them have run wide for it, and well, Lewis has lost out dearly, and I think also there, I think Newman has lost a bit of momentum, and Nathan Willoughby here is going to try and look up the inside. There's no doubt about that. He sees the space and he says, I'm going to send it, and he does. He licks the stamp, sends it, and it's a first class pass as he makes his way now up into Coppice as he rolls on through. And this has released Jack Werrell and Adam Holloway to go off into the distance with Smithhurst behind them, and we're of course our leader in the gold class here, the privateer, as he makes his way down to the braking zone for turn number 9. I think he actually represents the UK Sim Race, unless I'm very much mistaken. We might have to correct that for what is the purposes of round number 2, but as he comes roaring on down the start finish straight here, we're trying to break away from Holloway now, and you could see there in the rear of the picture Smithhurst in P5. It's the case the platinum driver staying with them for the time being, but as they make their way all the way through turn number 1 right now, I think we're just trying to get into that momentum, trying to get into a rhythm. Now he's the one who's got the clear track in front of him, and he's got the pursuers behind him. He just wants to settle down. It has been a very intense race, and as they make the way in towards the old hairpin, now it's about trying to get the car home. We haven't got long to go, just 5 minutes by the time Wirral gets up to McLean's, and now our drivers will be thinking on that survival and trying to make those last minute passes. As meanwhile we see here, speaking of the last minute pass, we've got Joe Newman on the inside here battling with Willoughby and the gold driver versus the platinum driver, and it's the case that Willoughby goes around the outside as they make the way up towards Coppice here. Into the braking zone they go. It's going to be side by side. Oh, there's a bit of contact there between the two of them, and it's the case, a little bit of a bump there, but I think Willoughby's got away with it, and I think it's the case that Joe Newman's just been able to survive the contact as well. He's lost a bit of speed, and Alex Lewis inserts himself in between the two of them, does the privateer, as he makes his way down into the braking zone for turns 9 and 10. He rolls on through, but you can see there's definitely some damage to Willoughby's car as well, because Lewis right now is flying. He closed up massively, they actually had to back off the throttle, and this is going to bring what is there, Newman right back into the mix, and Newman trying to go for a 2 along here as he makes his way around the outside. It's going to be a 2-for-1 special for the privateer. Can he make it count? Well, if he's going to be able to, it will be the case. It will be a brilliant pair of moves as he makes his way on. He's going to be side by side here with Willoughby all the way down through the Crane of Curves, but he will find himself on the outside into the old hairpin. In fact, he's ahead already. All the contact between the two of them, oh, goodness me, literally there, just the space being afforded, but the contact between the two of them actually seems to have benefited Newman, and Willoughby has really started to struggle right now as they make their way up towards what is turn number 7 in towards McLean. And I think at this point it may be the case the Effect Esports driver may be aware of a problem on the car that we don't know exact nature of, and he's just trying to nurse the car home, given the fact that P8 overall would give him P5 in class, and a P8 would mean that he starts P3 for the purposes of race number 2 of that top 10 reverse set in the grid. And as we see here, Alex Lewis chasing after Newman. That's why the other things as well at this point, given the fact that we do have 2 platinum drivers battling with a gold driver and the points are within their class, do you really want to get ahead of a gold driver when it doesn't give you any extra points and actually means that you end up further down the reverse grid when you're in that top 10? So there's a little bit of strategy here, I think, at play, and they're just trying to figure out where they want to insert themselves into that order. Of course, I think Newman may be thinking as well about, well, actually don't want to beat these guys at the end of the day, but we'll have to wait and see as they make the way on down. As we see it, real, it's the case. Lewis really putting that pressure on Newman here with 3 minutes to go. They roll the way on through, and whilst this is happening, I can tell you that further up the road, it is the case. Well, there's Austin William Campbell, but our cameraman tilts the camera to Jack Werrell here, and in the battle for the lead of the gold class, P3 overall, it's the case. The privateer has got Holloway still behind him. We ride on board the gearbox here, Jack Werrell, as he makes his way down the back straight. 2.5 minutes on the clock plus the final lap, and he has got pressure right now in the form of Adam Holloway as they make the way down into the chicane. And well, how will this play out? I think Holloway's been playing the role of the patient hunter here. You can also see it just a little bit further back. That's Smithhurst, the platinum driver, who's P5, also watching this battle eagerly. As we see peeling out the way there, that was one of the back markers at that point in terms of a lap down. And as Jack Werrell rolls his way into turn number 1. Get a nice late apex there. That's the perfect line. And as he comes down towards turn number 4, looking very sharp indeed. In fact, I think he's actually gained about 2 tenths through that line compared to Holloway. And Holloway is gaining the rundown through Craner because of the slipstream. But right now, it does seem as though the leader has got enough to stay ahead. And meanwhile, Paul Smithhurst here, we're rubbing his hands together and thinking, if these guys not one another out, I'll take a P3 overall. If not, I'll keep on watching. He's definitely putting in the pace here, but I don't think he's trying to take too much out the car in the 555 liveried BAR machine. Another throwback livery there. Indeed, a lot of fantastic liveries on these cars. They're great to see, and a lot that bring up some evocative memories of me when I was watching Formula 1 in my younger years. But still, as Smithhurst makes his way down the round through a turn at number 8 at this point, he will be staying in the slipstream hunt as they make the way down towards turn at number 9. And well, battle's closing up. We also do have here Alex Lewis still trying to battle with Newman, as it does seem as though Willoughby has fallen back to a degree. And as they roll the way on through this time, they go to the penultimate lap. Our leader's already, oh, going to spin Alex Lewis there with just one wheel going a bit wide, gets it wrong, and it's a spin at the chicane. And well, the privateer, it has all gone very, very wrong. And well, he's going to have to try and get that car turned around. He's dropped to P10, he's going to drop to P11. He's able to get back up to speed. He goes away from the pit lane, so he's going to try and finish the race with the car in the state it is. I think that's going to have taken a huge chunk out of the tyres, and we will wait and see where anything else comes off it. But our closest battle now is in the battle for P3 overall, and the lead of where's the gold class here. It's Werrell versus Holloway, and still Werrell stays ahead as they make the way through turn number 7 here. The leader of Aberdeen is heading down towards the chicane, so we will get one more lap if my prediction serves me well. In fact, he's actually making his way through the chicane. Yet we've definitely got time for one more lap. We will get a 19th lap here in race number 1, and Jack Werrell at this point, I think he's opened up that gap to 6 tenths of a second. I think he's safe now unless he gets it wrong at this chicane. Now, of course, the place where you can lose the most time is at the final chicane for the simple reason, get it wrong here, you lose all your momentum down towards turn 1. Get it right and you carry an absolute plethora of momentum down towards turn 1. But Werrell getting it nailed in. Actually sets the fastest lap in class of a 104.88 there on the penultimate lap. In fact, that's the fastest lap of everybody, I believe. No, it's the case. He's actually matching the fastest lap, setting the platinum class by Jack Atkinson. So it's the case. 104s are possible here right towards the end of the race when the track is in its prime, and also with a bit less fuel in the car. And we're seeing that as well right now. It's flying and keeping Adam Holloway at bay. But as we look from them to our overall leader as he makes his way into Coppice, well, what's there to say about Lee Aberdeen? Well, it's been the case that he has simply taken the lead of this race after a few side-by-side moments on the opening few corners, and he's not looked back with a 5.1 second advantage. It will mean he starts P10 in race number 2, but I don't think he'll mind. I think he'll be happy with the accolade, for as he makes his way through the final corner, it's Lee Aberdeen in the number 122 car who takes the overall win in the season opening race here at Donington, and also the win in the platinum class ahead of Austin William Campbell, who finishes P2. A great drive from Campbell as well, and then Jack Werrell in the end does enough to hold on to the final step of the overall podium. Here's your winner in the gold class ahead of Adam Holloway. It is Paul Smithhurst who completes the overall top 5, completing the platinum podium, and it's Joe Newman P6. He completes the gold podium ahead of Nathan Willoughby, and it's Daniel Naggs who takes the win in the silver class ahead of Paul Boucherat, and well, then it will be Carl Cranswick who completes your top 10 as all our drivers come to the end of their race. We also have Alex Lewis who's just crossed the line there, but we do look to Kevin Burke, who's had a race that's been up and day. Indeed, a lot of our silver class drivers have had a very difficult race, but the reason we're focusing on Kevin Burke is because if he makes it to the line in this state, which I'm sure he will be your third place finisher in the silver class, P17 overall, as he comes through the final two corners, and he will take the final step of the silver podium. A great job there by Kevin Burke, and indeed what a fantastic opening race of the season, as we now take a look at those race results. Well, as we do wait for those race results to appear, I don't think they're coming up right now. Give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, and they will arise very shortly. I think we might just have a very slight glitch. I think we are going to be, unfortunately, denied some race results here. That's not going to happen. Oh, there they go. They took a little bit of time, but they arrived in the post eventually. It is the case after race number 1, Lee Aberdeen taking the win in the Platinum class in the end, ahead of Austin Campbell and Paul Smithhurst. Nathan Willoughby just missing out on the podium there after close racing, and Alex Lewis completing the top 5, ahead of Science-Lee, Sam Gunstone and Jack Atkinson. Of course, Gunstone Atkinson in that brilliant battle between the two of them that all went wrong at the very end. We then come to our gold class, and it is the case that in race number 1, Jack Werrell taking the win in the end, the privateer ahead of Adam Holloway, and Joe Noman completing the podium ahead of Carl Cranswick and Rob Exelby. And then we do have Samuel Hooper and Duncan Watts. And then in the silver class, it is the case that our winner in race number 1, Daniel Naggs, taking the win by 3.5 seconds ahead of Paul Boucherat, and Kevin Burke completing the silver podium with Edmund Webb down in P4, Craig Tillerston in P5, Sidney Millen in P6, Aidan Frizina in P7, Harvey Blair P8, Chris Hitchin P9, and Matthew Green completing the standings. Well, fantastic race from all of our drivers, and now we do wait to go racing once again. And now we are getting ready to go racing for race number 2. It comes up straight away, and then let's look to the grid. So as we do, well, in fact, we do look to the grid here. We won't be able to bring you the grid countdown due to limitations to the replay file, but we can definitely check to the grid and see who's lined up on pole and who's not. And we just wait for that grid to all be set here. All our drivers get ready to go racing, and this is race number 2. It is another 20-minute race. It's a sprint with a reverse top 10 from the results of race number 1. You can see the number 18 car there starting up towards the front of Paul Boucherat there, starting towards the front row, but it is that case. The gridding process still underway. We've still got drivers lined up, and I believe it's the number 57 car who lines up on pole, unless I'm very much mistaken. We're just trying to find the number 57 car, and that is Carl Cranswick, who lines up on pole position, and he'll be battling with Paul Boucherat down into turn number 1 as we get ready to go racing. Not too many more drivers to get set here, but definitely a brilliant race one, and now we wait for the green. It's lights out and away we go for race number 2 here at Donington, as Carl Cranswick gets a reasonable start, but he actually bogs down and gets a box of neutrals almost, as we can see there. It's the case Paul Boucherat going around the outside here, and he's going to take the lead as they all make their way through. Nathan Willoughby also making some good ground early on here, given the fact that he was able to place well come the end of race number 1, and as they make their way down the hill here, down towards what is the old hairpin. Everybody surviving this time, nobody running wide. I think everyone now used to the fact that cold tyres at the start of the race, and as they roll away on through, we've got one driver disappearing in and out of existence. That's the BAR car, and we see one driver going a bit wide. I believe that is, well, it's not Alex Lewis, but it's someone that's Carl Cranswick who's got it very wrong as they make their way up the hill and in towards McLean's here. And as they roll the way on through on this opening lap, you can see it is the case that Jack Werrell gaining places left, right, and centre as he makes his way on up the hill. In fact, he's lost a couple of places. He's dropped down to P9, as meanwhile at the front of the field we do have a pass, and it is the case that Newman has gone into lead here. He's got ahead of Daniel Naggs, and Naggs now having to try and hold off his silver counterpart of what is Paul Boucherat as they make their way down into the chicane and complete the opening lap, and they all rolling through here. But after one lap, it is the case that Joe Newman has taken the lead of this race in the gold class overall, as into the pits there, I believe that's Willoughby in. A number of drivers coming in due to damage on the car, and meanwhile a bit further back we've got a free wide moment that is settling down right now, and that's the number 26 car Jack Atkinson on the inside here, battling with the number 32 car of Exelby as they make the way through the corner. And as they come down now, it is the case that Atkinson getting it very good. In fact, I believe we do have a couple of drivers who jumped the start, and that explains why they're required to come into the pit. I think that might be Willoughby, also Vizina, and also Aberdeen all jump starting, and therefore they've been penalised. Oh goodness me, we've got a driver right off there who's decided to take a bit of a rallycross line, and well, we're trying to figure out who that is, and there it is. That's Carl Cranswick who's who's decided that enough's enough. They've straight lined on from turn number 5, but as they now return to circuit, they've lost a lot of places as they roll their way on through, and Cranswick having a difficult day, no doubt about that. As meanwhile, we look a little bit further out the order here, and Samuel Hooper, who started in what was the midfield, but he's still in the midfield. He's in at P12, at P4 in the gold class as he makes his way on down, but you can see a bit further back here, it is the case of Kevin Burt trying to cut his way up the order as well, but I think the silver driver at this point just trying to stay out of trouble as he rolls his way through the chicane and onto another lap. But meanwhile, we can see looking a bit further up, we do have Paul Smithhurst here just battling for position as he rolls his way on through in the BAR car in the number 77 machine, and behind him that is Cy Anthony, who has yielded as the platinum driver for the time being. I think they're focusing on making the lap through the order as they come roaring on down towards the old hairpin here. Smithhurst taking a little bit of a peek there to XLB, but not being able to get the move instead of having to wait. It does look as though that Smithhurst, whilst he's eager, he's not over eager to make the pass, and that's an important thing here in these sprint races. You need to be eager because you haven't got that long, but not too over eager, because otherwise it's very likely you're going to be involved in some sort of incident. And should somebody raise an eyebrow and go, well, that was your fault, you were a little bit too eager to make the pass. We see, speaking of eager, it is the case that Kevin Burt will be eager to return to circuit. Smithhurst under pressure here from the number 27 driver Cy Anthony, and they're going side by side now. This is the battle for P7 overall, P4 in the platinum class, and it's Cy Anthony on the outside here, and you can see they're going slow. That is Boucherat, who's had a bit of an off, I think, and a bit of a slowdown, but Cy Anthony has to back off there. They were almost 3 wide at one point, but right now Cy Anthony staying where he is and trying to put that pressure on. As a bit further back we can see Boucherat again just staying to the side. There is the silver class driver. I think he's actually just letting the gold and the platinum class drivers through because he knows he's not battling with them. And the next silver class driver, Boucherat's in P11, the next silver class driver is Hitchin in P14, so he's playing this one very smart. Is the silver leader in the fact he just doesn't want to be in the fight with any of these drivers. As meanwhile, what we can see here is the case Cy Anthony battling with Paul Smithhurst once again, coming down into the old hairpin. Side by side they roll through, and it is the case that Smithhurst holds onto that position for the time being as they roll the way up the hill now towards McLean's. Once again, it has been a frantic opening 4 minutes, and it's not coming down anytime soon. As we see here, Cy Anthony trying to find a way in, and Alex Lewis at this point tucked in very close behind. We ride on board here with Alex Lewis as he makes about the point. You can see the difference in lines there, whereby Cy Anthony literally pinning himself to the back of what is Smithhurst. They're going to go side by side. We stay on board with Alex Lewis watching this battle. Always a bit of a popcorn spectator view as they make their way into the braking zone. Cy Anthony up the inside there. It's going to put Smithhurst all out of position, and now can Lewis capitalise on it? He's not close. I think he backed out a little bit there just in case anything kicked off between the two drivers in front, and this does effectively mean that now Alex Lewis has got to look for the move. He can't find it, and he wasn't able to seize on an opportunity presented there. But again, I think playing the long game here, as we're not even a quarter of the way through the 20-minute time duration, as they make the way down through the crane of curves and head towards the old hairpin. As they come roaring on down this time, it is against Alex Lewis. Considering it, no, he's not going to be able to get close enough. Instead, he just continues to wait and wait for that opportunity. He shall as he makes his way up. Meanwhile, he's not going to be able to wait for long, because we can see here Samuel Hooper, our gold driver, currently P9, is under pressure from what is there Jack Werrell as they make their way through, and Werrell up the inside there into McLean's, and a classic pass that he makes it stick. And we've got a car off there, and that is Alex Lewis, who's gone for a spin at turn number 7. I'm not sure if there was contact or not. That he is the case. He's gone off circuit, and well, that's going to make Werrell's opportunity to come up through the platinum drivers easier technically. He's got one less driver to worry about, and well, he's got a long way to go if he wants to close down the leader of Joe Newman, who right now is the best part of 8 seconds up the road, and he's not slowing down at any point so far as they roll their way on around. But as they come roaring on through this time, it is the case going on to lap number 6. Werrell has made quite a few gains now after a difficult start, but meanwhile Smithhurst there up the inside of Cy Anthony, locking up the brakes, and you could see the brake smoke kicking off where the lockup occurred, and Werrell's going to try and go around the pair of them here, down for the crane of curves and into the old hairpin. This is going to be very close for Werrell, and I think he's going to do it, but Cy Anthony won't want to let him go, and indeed Jack Werrell gets it done in the end and sends it past the pair of them. And well, if we were looking at a driver here who's really trying to establish himself as a major contender in the season opening, that's what it's all about in the season opening round, establishing yourself and your pace. Well, Jack Werrell is definitely showing everyone what he's got, but he almost shows too much there as he goes a little bit wide, coming out of turn number 7, going through McLean's into Coppice, and now Cy Anthony's going to be on the offensive. I think Jack Werrell has carried it off for the time being, and he stays to the right hand side here. And the idea being that he's going to take away the toe and weave out onto the racing line at the last possible point. And there he goes, pulling onto that racing line now and getting it done up to P6 and charging his Jack Wells. He runs a little bit wide there. He keeps doing that. He'll take too much out the tyres. But now we've got more gold drivers here coming through. We've also got there what is our leader in the silver class, and that's Paul Boucherat, who's on the outside. It's 3 wide coming down into the opening corner, but it's the case he backs out. Does Hopper? Well, no, I believe it is the case. Anthony backs out there as we've got a bit of smoke, and I am not 100% sure who that is off circuit, but they're parked up, and I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that may be Nags who's decided that it's gone a little bit wrong. I think that's Daniel Nags, and he's parked up for the time being, waiting to rejoin the race. I think he was a lap down at the time, unless I'm mistaken, so that won't have an overall effect on the top 10 order. But right now, it is the case that Samuel Hooper won't be thinking about that. He'll be thinking about, how do I go after Werrell? He's made it look easy. Why can't I, as they roll their way on through? And as they come charge on through now, Paul Boucherat will have a bit of a worry because he has Chris Hitchen, who we talked about, but we haven't seen. And here is Chris Hitchen, your P2 driver in the silver class, the P11 overall driver, as he rolls his way through Coppice Corner. He does have Cranswick behind him, the gold driver, but the silver driver here will be focused more on the fact he's only 2 seconds off Boucherat in front, and he will be going chasing as they make the way down towards the chicane. And as they come running through this time, no movement. In fact, their Cranswick goes overly deep and loses a huge amount of momentum, just taking a bit too much speed into the corner and braking late. But meanwhile, we look back to the turn number 1 camera. So it is the case that right now Samuel Hooper trying to hold the inside line here versus both Anthony and also Smithhurst. And Smithhurst makes it work there in a 3 wide. He takes the positions. He's up into P7 as the platinum driver. He's only gaining track position. He's not gaining class position. And right now, I think he'll be hoping he can put this to Ben and go chasing after Atkinson, who is the best part of 8 seconds up the road. It is the case that Jack Atkinson has disappeared off into the distance in P3 in the platinum class. As they make the way up the hill here and in to McLean's corner, Samuel Hooper under pressure from Cy Anthony. Whereas they roll the way on through, these guys battling back and forth, and they're not really gaining any time on the leaders. They're losing it. But speaking of gaining time on a leader, here's your leader, Joe Newman overall. He's also our gold class leader, but it is the case that right now he's under pressure from Austin William Campbell, the platinum leader, who's trying to come on free. You can see Holloway, Gunstone, Atkinson all together here. We've got 5 drivers battling for the lead, and that is Holloway going up the inside into turn 1, and the gold driver here wants an opportunity to go after Newman, and this is fantastic stuff as they roll their way through turn number 1. And well, I think Newman will be thinking at this point, yes guys, keep on battling, just let me run away with this. I think right now Holloway will be thinking, come on Campbell, just let me go after him, let's calm this down. But they're all fighting, it's great to see, that's what we love. And as they roll the way down to turn number 4 right now, Atkinson at the back of this group of cars here, probably thinking, right, how do I get past Gunstone and then take on Campbell for the lead of the platinum class? Well, it's one step at a time here for the English driver from UK Sim Racing as he rolls his way in to McLean's. He's just got to focus on taking them away one by one as he comes charging up. We're hearing that Edmund Webb has jumped to the pits. I think something has gone very wrong for Edmund Webb. He's had an off track. We're hearing on our data logger, and it is the case that he's had to jump to pits, probably because the car's not in a condition to be driven around the circuit anymore. Not sure what's happened there, but we focus right now on our battle for P2 overall and the pursuit of the leader. And we see Adam Holloway here right in the middle of it. He, of course, P2 in the gold class, P3 overall, and he'll want to try and make his way past Campbell to chase after Newman, or hope that Campbell can pull him up to Newman if Campbell is going to be the established leader of this group of 4 drivers, all trying to hunt down the race leader. As they roll the way on through right now, we are hearing that Paul Smithhurst has had an off track, and he's only just rejoined. In fact, we're not sure where Paul Smith... In fact, Paul Smithhurst has jumped to the pits from what we're hearing. So something's gone wrong at the chicane, but this has promoted a lot of drivers up a position. And, well, here's Chris Hitchen, who's got into the lead of the silver class. So whatever's happened, it's really disrupted the flow for a number of drivers here, just in the bottom half of the top 10. And Chris Hitchen, now your silver class leaders, we say, oh, goodness me. And that is Samuel Hooper going for a spin, coming for the old hairpin. But Chris Hitchen evades the wayward car here. And now Paul Boucherat, his rival, has got to worry about the fact he's got Cranswick very close behind, and Boucherat gets it wrong. Oh, and there was almost a tiny tap there from what was Cranswick as they were coming through, but no such contact. And Boucherat here parked in the gravel. He's got to try and get the car turned. We just saw that he was getting back rotated, so he will be back racing, but he's lost out on a major opportunity for batting for the lead of the silver class. And Hitchen now, well, it's the case. I think he'll be thinking, right, just don't do what everybody else has done in my class, which is spin it. You're in it to win it, don't spin it. He'll be thinking right now, and as he makes his way on through, I think he will also be trying to take a leaf out of what we saw was Boutrat's book at the start of the race. Just let the gold and the platinum drivers battle one another. It's not worth it. But meanwhile, speaking of battling one another, they're battling for class position. It's Carl Cranswick there on the outside, and it was Exelby coming through. And, well, Rob Exelby has made another position, or has he? Went a little bit deep, coming out turn number 1, and that's the run down through Craner here. And as they make the way in towards what is the old hairpin, you can see it's the case of Cranswick goes very wide through 3 and actually loses a lot of momentum. I think he had to lift off there slightly to get the car to stop going straight on, as it is the case. Just carried a bit too much speed, and now as they make the way through, well, can the Skittles driver here hold on? Well, in front of him, that is Smithhurst, who is a lap down, and he will peel to the side. He does so there very quickly with the blue flags waving. And right now, Rob Exelby in P4 in the gold class, trying to hold off the P5 driver and close up to the leaders. But they are a long way away. The leaders are a huge way away. But I think it's a bit of a slow down there by the looks of things, as Cranswick has come through. And, well, Carl Cranswick takes that P9, takes that P4 in the gold class, and now makes his way onto another lap here. We've got less than half the distance to go. We've got approximately 8 minutes plus the final lap. And as they make the way across that timeline, where else is the battling kicking off, I hear you ask? Well, we do have Nathan Willoughby here, who after that major moment earlier on is now trying to make a recovery drive, but the Platinum driver has got a lot of drivers to cut his way through, including Frazina, also Aberdeen, who's just up the road. You can see them in the distance of the camera, and, well, he is the closest Platinum driver who's battling for position, and Nathan Willoughby P7 in class, P16 overall. It has not been his race, and now he's just trying, I think, to place himself well for the purposes of the full reverse grid feature, which follows after this. But as he comes charging on down the hill, we do look to Joe Newman here, our leader right now, 1 second clear of Austin William Campbell as he makes his way down into the chicane. And, well, he's not out of the woods yet. He'll be thinking he's got a second advantage, but that advantage could go at any moment, given the fact that you do have this snake train of 4 cars behind the leader. They are within a second from P2, and as they come charging down towards turn number 1 here, it only takes one minor mistake from Newman or an absolutely scintillating lap from Campbell, and the fight will be back on as they come roaring on down and towards what is the old hairpin once again. But I think we are starting to see a little bit of a split here, where Gunstone is staying with Campbell in the battle for the lead in the Platinum class, and in return Holloway and Atkinson are a bit further back as Gunstone runs wide there, takes a bit too much exit coming out to the old hairpin, and that's cost him a bit of momentum. And meanwhile, Adam Holloway, well, he's P2 in the gold class right now, P4 overall. I think he's of two minds, whether to let Atkinson go, alternatively fight with Atkinson, given the fact he won't want to lose that track position should the 3 leaders start battling as this race goes deeper and deeper into 20 minutes. As they roll the way through at this point, I think that's only something which Holloway can decide, whether he's going to let Atkinson go or not. He comes off a racing line there, in fact covers off the toe. I think by doing so, Holloway's made his intention clear. He's battling for position, but he's going to be very heavily compromised here from Tillotson as they make their way through the chicane. I don't think the P19 driver knew where to exactly go there, given the situation. That's unfortunate for everybody involved, but Holloway now under pressure, and Atkinson's looking for the move up the inside. He's not close enough. He was also affected there in the run, and as they roll the way on through, no change. But meanwhile, well, I said it only took 1 lap to see that gap come down, and Newman now only has a 3/10 of a second gap from Campbell as we ride on board here with Campbell, our Platinum leader, as he tries to take the lead of this race overall versus the gold driver of Newman. Not long to go, 5 minutes to go by the time they complete the Cleans corner here, and as they roll the way on through turn number 7, will we see a potential move down the back straight? Well, I think Campbell will be hoping for one if he can now run into Coppets here as they make the way on through. And he is there, he's in the draft, but it's not a long enough run, I don't think, from 3/10 of a second back to be able to close on up. Whereas he starts to build that momentum, he's already halfway down the straight. You can see Newman doing a little bit of a bob and weave from side to side just to break that toe slightly. And as they make the way through the chicane, it's going to come down, I think, to Campbell just simply putting in those laps, which gets him closer and closer to the back of Newman. The problem is, when he's running this close, that dirty air effect of the driver in front will be very pronounced, and therefore it just hurts his entry into corners. It takes a bit of life out the front tyres, or a little bit of grip out the front tyres, and as they roll their way through turn number 1, he's getting closer by the corner to be very staying right there. Campbell's not letting the draft of the driver in front phase him. As they roll their way down through the Craner curves here, it's the case. He's now within 2.5 attempts. Can he look for a move? We see Newman there almost putting that rear left tyre onto the grass, just keeping it on the surface. But meanwhile, we look from them to a bit further back, and we can see it looks as though there's been a bit of a change up in the order here, just outside the top 5 overall. And that's Carl Cranswick coming on down in the number 57 car. He's been passed by Selby as they make their way through the old hairpin. And Chris Hitchin, I'm hearing, is up to P7 overall, the silver driver. And we see Cy Anthony there coming from the number 27 car, I believe. Cy Anthony's had an off track, and that's led to him dropping down the order. And that's Alex Lewis behind him, and these two are battling very fiercely earlier in the race. So they come back together, and Cy Anthony goes a bit wide there, going out McLean's, and that is going to give the place to Lewis. There's no doubt about that, due to the loss of momentum as they make the way through Coppice and now down the back straight as they come roaring on down. It does look as though Alex Lewis now getting firmly back into this race as they come charging on down. But meanwhile, we do have to look a little bit further up the road because Chris Hitchin right now, well, the silver class driver here running P7, he's well clear of the rest of his peers. It's the case that second place in the silver class at the moment is in P12. That is Kevin Burke, who is quite a way back, and actually he's dropped 2 places as Burke to both Aberdeen and Watts. He's yielded the positions as we see Hitchin. They're going a bit slowly through the opening corner, and so we're getting very close to tapping the rear of his car. But so we must cut away from them because we need to cut to the battle for the lead here, and that's Campbell up the inside of Newman, and it's very close there, and Newman in the end giving a little bit of a tap off the road and a shake of the nose. I'm not sure if he's trying to shake if the steering rack's damaged or whether he's trying to shake his head metaphorically with the car, but it is the case that Newman there was run as near to the edge as possible, and Campbell wanted the place, and Austin William Campbell is now your leader both in the platinum class and overall, as Newman still holds the gold lead. But right now I think he'll be a little bit incensed by that, and now it'll be the case that can Sam Gunstone, with only 2.5 minutes on the clock, try to get past Newman and go hunting for the win of this race overall and in class as they make the way in towards turn number 1. On to lap 17 they go, not too many more laps remaining on the clock, and as they roll their way on through this time, well, we will have to wait and see. These three, the best part of 3 seconds clear of P4 driver Jack Atkinson here, third place in the platinum class and trying to run away from Holloway and chase the leaders, but I think it's going to be a bit too late in the day for him to get involved in that battle for the top as they make the way down towards turn number 4. As they roll them through at this point, we do hear that Chris Hitchin has been passed, well, he's being passed, I should say, by both LB and also Cranswick, and I think that's also Lewis trying to come on through, and I think Hitchin here being very sensible. He doesn't want any part of this. He's had a race which has really gone his way, and now he just needs to get it home, and I think it'll be the case down in the paddock. The team will be screaming, Chris, just stay out of it, don't get involved here. Hold back that racer's instinct, and he's doing so very well, to be fair, as he makes his way into turn number 7. But as he rolls his way on through, we cut from him back to Cranswick versus what is there, I believe, Lewis, and Lewis trying to close up behind the gold driver. It's the platinum driver, and in return Cranswick trying to hunt after what is there. Xelby just in front, and Xelby's running away a little bit as the gap opens up to a second, and Cranswick goes defensive here versus the platinum driver. So it's the case Cranswick battling for overall position, and well, now it's really going to be the case the gloves come off as they make the way on what may be the final lap. It's going to be very close to see if we get another lap in. I think we will get one more lap after this. We will get a 19th lap as the leaders roll through. And speaking of leaders and speaking of being close racing, well, Campbell found his way past Newman coming up at McLean's here, and now Campbell's having to go, oh, goodness me, the two of them coming to contact, oh my good lord, and that's all 3 drivers in major contact. And well, with that, it's the case that Adam Holloway, who was 3 seconds back from the leaders, it's now one of those situations whereby he's seen all that kick off, and he'll be thinking, well, I'll take the lead of my class, thank you very much. Gunstone has come through with a brief tap. Now, how much damage that is on the car, we'll wait and see. That looks like a broken suspension axis on the front right side, and that will give the lead of the platinum class and overall to Atkinson, who takes the lead as they go on to the final lap. And it's the case that Jack Atkinson, who literally I think at one point was thinking he was going to have to settle for third, as you see Gunstone into the pits there. Well, my goodness, it is the case. It has all kicked off at the last moment, and Adam Holloway at this point I think will be thinking, right, I'm not going to battle with Atkinson at this point. I'm just going to sit here and take that win and run it to the finish. Well, I would hope he would. I think his pit crew will be hoping that right now, because if it goes like that on this final lap between the two of them, well, who's going to be the winner by the end of it? I don't think anybody wants to win by the sounds of things if that happens, but right now these two are the best part of 13 seconds clear of their peers as they roll the way on through, and I think it's the case they're going to settle for the order in, as meanwhile Alex Lewis here battling with Zelby, and Zelby holding on the inside, but Alex Lewis gets the run through the old hairpin. He's up to P4 overall. That doesn't change his class position. He still remains P2 in the platinum class, but meanwhile we must look from one platinum driver to our platinum leader, because it is the case it didn't start off the way he wanted, but he's found his way back up the order, and as he makes his way through the final 2 corners here, the checker flag will wait him come the end of the 19th lap for Jack Atkinson from UK Sim Racing is your winner in race number 2 here at Donington. He takes the win overall and in the platinum class, and it'll be Adam Holloway who comes home 2nd place overall, your winner in the gold class, and then it will be Jack Werrell here after an up and down race will settle for for third place overall, second place in the gold class when he comes to the line. And then it is Chris Hitchen who comes home P4 overall and is your winner in the silver class in a very consistent performance ahead of Joe Newman. Then it's Rob Selby, followed by Sam Gunstone, Lee Aberdeen, and then it will be behind Alex Lewis, who comes across line P9, and Kevin Burke will hold on in the end. Oh, Willie Science, he battles with him to the line. I think Burke's just got enough of a run here to take P10 overall. He's just done, that will be P2 in the silver class, Science P11. And as all our drivers continue to come on through here, it is the case. Well, the gloves did come off for certain in race number 2, and one driver I think will be thinking about how it went wrong and how he can recover it in race number 3 will be Paul Boucherat, who was leading for a good amount of time in the silver class and got caught up in the battling, but right now he will come home at P4 in the silver class, P14 overall, and it'll be Samuel Hooper who comes home at P15 on the lead lap. But as we now do look to those race results, it is the case that after what is, my apologies there, we do look to the Platinum class first. After our second race, it is Lee Aberdeen who takes the win in the Platinum class, 5.1 seconds clear of Austin Campbell, and it's Paul Smithhurst to complete. Well, my apologies, that is the Heat 1 results. There is the case. We've got some tight technical issues we're working through. Let's start over there. It is Jack Atkinson who takes the win in the Platinum class, 23 seconds clear in the end, ahead of Sam Gunstone after that contact that Gunstone had with a number of his peers on the penultimate lap. It all fell apart for Gunstone. Lee Aberdeen takes a surprise P3 in the end. Alex Lewis P4, and Nathan Willoughby P5, Science P6, Austin Campbell P7, and Paul Smithhurst P8. And as we come over to the gold class, it will be the case that we do have what is Adam Holloway, who was your winner in race number 2, ahead of Jack Werrell and Joe Newman completing the gold podium. Rob Selby in the end at P4, Samuel Hooper P5, Carl Cranswick P6, and Duncan Watts P7. And then in the silver class, it is the case that your winner by quite a comfortable margin at 16.2 seconds, Chris Hitchen in the end, ahead of Kevin Burke and Eden Frazina, coming home to round off the podium in the silver class, ahead of Paul Boucherat and Daniel Naggs. Harvey Blair P6, Craig Tillotson P7, Edmund Webb P8, Sydney Millian P9, and then it is Matthew Green P10. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we do now get ready for race number 3, as we are just now waiting for all of our drivers to make their way into the pit lane. And in fact, we are now going into what is a bit of a warm-up session here, I think, for our drivers. But what a fantastic opening to races. And you can see now on our schedule, once again, at Donington Park here, Donington Park National, for round number 1 of the UK Sim Racing Formula 4 Championship. It is the case, we've completed qualifying, we've completed race number 1, and we've completed race number 2. And now we are only shortly away for race number 3, as all our drivers are getting warmed up, and we will be back very shortly to bring you all the build-up and more as we go racing one last time. It'll be 40 minutes of racing, and how will it all come to an end? We will find out soon. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the build-up to race number 3 here, and as all of our drivers are taken to the grid right now, we're not too far away from going racing, and we can see everybody lining up, and we of course can't take you quite through that grid due to technical limitations here, but what we can tell you is that as we look around, it is now a full reverse grid for this feature race based on the finishing results of race number 2, and well, the battling is only going to be ever more intense here as all of our drivers get ready to go racing here at Donington Park National for the third and final time in this round. And well, as we look to the blimp camera here, an absolutely packed grid of 25 drivers, and well, everybody itching to go racing. We're not long away, this gridding process underway. We see Jack Atkinson there starting towards the back of the field, of course, given the fact he finished so well in race number 2 and he's got to come his way on through. But now the gridding process is complete, and we look to the front of the order, and there's some very much mistaken here. Well, we just had it's an early warning with regards to the gridding process, and it's lights down, away we go, as we see there Sidney Millen going away, the leader here, and holding off Edwin Webb down into turn number 1. And as the Frenchman here tries to hold off what is the charging pack, it is the case. We're caught out a little bit by the start there, but Edward Webb holding on to P2 as they roll the way through on the corners. And as they come charging down, we do see Nags meanwhile battling side by side here as they come roaring on down the hill. And the silver driver battling it with the number 42 car, I believe. Well, he's number 42 car, I should say. And that is Austin Willie Campbell trying to go all the way around the outside. And as they roll the way on through, we do have 4 drivers who didn't take to the field this time around. But it is the case, we may be missing 4 drivers, but the battling coming through what is up into McLean through Starkeys is ever intense as they roll the way through it. And Samuel Hooper right now really under pressure to try and gain some places early, given that Watts and Cranswick are a lot further up the order. Remember, it's 40 minutes of racing here in this feature, and therefore we do have plenty of time for those overtakes to happen, as it does look as though mostly everybody has safely made it through this opening lap. As we do see a little bit further back here, we have the number 97 driver of Newman battling side by side with Zelby. Newman on the inside here into turn number 9, and as they roll their way through what is 9 and 10, it is the case that Newman doing everything he can. He holds Zelby for the time being, but meanwhile Lee Aberdeen holding off Kevin Burke here. On the inside is the platinum driver of the silver driver, and as they roll their way into turn number 1, Aberdeen braking nice and early. Burke going very deep there under braking. I think missed this braking point by about 5 metres. And as a result, Lee Aberdeen getting the move done, albeit as he rolls way down through crane of curves at this point, he will be knowing that there's a long journey to go with Cy Anthony all the way up in P4 leading the platinum class. But as they make the one through, goodness me, and that is Kevin Burke who's having a bit of an off track there and releasing Newman ahead of him. The silver driver here I think will be just calming down now. I think the adrenaline's kicking in a little bit too much, and he just needs to relax back into this race. As he rolls way through, you can see there's he'll be going up the inside through McLean, taking the space and gaining the position. But as we look from them to our leader right now, we can see it's Edwin Webb who is leading after Sidney Millen has lost the lead. I think it's the case that the silver driver who was leading had an off track. In fact, we had confirmation he did have an off track, and he's dropped now down to P5. Oh goodness me, we've got a spin then. That's Austin Willie Campbell. Oh goodness me, and that's the worst possible place you could be parked, as there's a couple of tyres that have gone loose. In fact, it is carnage across what is the start finish line there. That is Paul Boucher who's been involved at the contact in a very heavily damaged Formula 4. A lot of drivers jumping into the pits there, and you can see a lot of cars missing body parts. It will be the case, I think they'll be able to use fast repairs after their tow's complete, but they will not want to be a lap down, and that jump to the pits will put them a lap down. And well, my goodness, it is the case. Just one car getting it wrong, and that was Austin William Campbell, who was sideways across the exit curb, and it has all kicked off. And Aidan Frizina right now has got it wrong. This one run a bit wide, and the car, as he's trying to get on the power on the grass, has snaked away from him, but he's brought it back together. That's a good catch there by the Briton, and well, if it gone a bit wrong, I think he might have took a couple of drives with him, given how the field was coming on through. But it is the case, we've got 4 drivers in the pits. That's Gunstone, Millen, also Campbell and Boucherat, and we will have some drivers as well with damage from all that contact on the start finish straight. But this race really proving to be unpredictable indeed. This opening round proving to be unpredictable, and it's the case the race is fantastic. We have had a few nasty knocks, and well, I think it may be the case that some drivers will be looking back after tonight and thinking, right, I didn't need to have that little knock, or it's the case I could have dodged that one or just been a little bit more cautious there. But of course, a lot of drivers finding their feet, may not have raced against one another before, and even in these Formula 4 machines, it's quite a new format for some of the drivers here, and we'll have to wait and see what happens in round number 2. But plenty of things for our drivers to take away. Some will be taking away a lot of positives today, as we're hearing that Paul Smith first making his way out of the pit lane now in P13. And well, as they make their way through, we've got quite a few drivers running wide there. As Nathan Willoughby runs very wide by comparison with their Nags, who just simply comes on through. But as they make their way up towards what is turn number 7, we do a quick look at that battle box now, and you can see Lewis in front there, and Willoughby with Lewis coming on through. It will be the case that he goes hunting after the platinum driver, and these two are leading in the platinum class right now as they make their way down the back straight. And as they come roaring on through. We do look a little bit further back. I can tell you that Lee Aberdeen, after coming out the pits, well, he has got behind him Paul Smithhurst there, and well, these two are no strangers to one another. They've been battling in the Platinum class over the course of the opening 2 races here in round number 1, and they will be battling again. And as they roll their way on through, Smithhurst at this point, I think, we're just trying to think about, okay, I've got 40 minutes of racing to go. It's not been the perfect start to this race. Just settle down, get into a rhythm, tuck in behind Aberdeen, and don't fight him too hard. Or at least that's the way I would look at it if I was in Smithhurst's shoes. You've got a long way to go. We've got Millen who's just leaving the bell, and Smithhurst out. I think cold tyres. The tyres just seizing through the chicane, and well, it's going to release Lee Aberdeen to run off into the distance by himself, P5 in class, as he makes his way into turn number 1. But as he makes his way through the corner right now, we do look back up to our leader here, Edmund Webb, who right now does have, the silver driver does have the gold leader behind him of Cranswick, closing up as they make the way down towards turns 9 and 10 once again. And Webb here, I think, would be sensible just to let Cranswick go. There has been a very high attrition rate. I'm not sure if he's aware of it, but he gets it wrong on the chicane and into the wall, and that is the rear suspension gone from the car, and one little mistake has cost him so dearly. That puts him all the way down the order, and well, that now promotes Daniel Nags into the lead of the silver class, and well, he will, I think, want to take this home, but can he? That's the question, given how many drivers have got it wrong here in race number 3. Alex Lewis, meanwhile, at the inside of Samuel Hooper there for P2 overall, and Lewis just gaining track position, not class position. The Platinum driver here, he's trying to put the 2 gold drivers of Hooper and Watts between himself and Willoughby, and you can see Nathan Willoughby here, currently P2 in the Platinum class, now giving hot pursuit as they make the way for him. We ride on board here with the Effect Esports driver as he comes up the hill, and what you can see is the case of Watts and Hooper looking to go battling here, and oh, they're in contact with one another, and it is all going horribly wrong for so many drivers here. And Samuel Hooper and Duncan Watts, well, I'm not exactly sure which way that has played out. I suspect there may be a bit of an investigation post-race with regards to that, but it did look as though there that the space wasn't there for 2, and well, it's the case that both drivers have paid the price for it. And well, Carl Cranswick, if he wanted a race that's going to swing ever more his way, he's now just had that, given the fact that now his main rival is Rob Selby, who is the best part of 6.6 seconds behind, and that is the gap. You can see Cranswick ahead of the field there, the rest of the field coming on through, as there is Alex Lewis and Nathan Willoughby coming on through behind. I think Willoughby was thinking to himself, well, you know what, I was hoping to have to pass those gold drivers easily, and they just took one of it out of the way for me. And the Effect Esports driver, I think, will not believe his fortune there. But of course, it's not what we want to see. All of us getting it wrong, particularly in the feature when we're not even 10 minutes into the race. But these things do happen, and that's why, of course, the stewards are there to take a look at things at post-race and whatnot. But right now, Nathan Willoughby at the Effect Esports driver, having to push on, as meanwhile, Rob Selby also running a little bit wide there as the sun comes back out after some very heavy cloud here. Of course, these are British circuits known for that mixture of sunshine and cloud. It's the case if you get constant and predictable weather in the UK, oh my goodness, and that is Daniel Nags going for a spin. And well, whoever that was coming through, I think that was Si Anthony, who literally had to dodge the biggest wayward bullet of a Formula 4 that I've ever seen. And the Symphony Esports driver there, well, if he needed a reason to have more adrenaline pumping in his chest, he's now got it, because that was an absolute dodge. And well, I can tell you one thing now, if the Welshman's got reflexes like that, there's no wonder he won't be battling further up the order later on in this race, if not later in the season, because that was a dodge and a half. As right now the Symphony Esports driver pushes on, and as he comes charging on down in towards turn number 1, it is the case that he's chasing after Willoughby and also Lewis, albeit the gap between them and Anthony is 3 seconds at this time as he comes roaring on down. But we have got in the pits, I can tell you, we've still got Samuel Hooper. We've also had the retirement of what it is Eden and Frazina. We've also had the retirement of Campbell, Blair, Werrell, Green and Tilleston. We do have Gunstone and Burke in the pits. We do have a number of drivers. We have out of our, what was our 23 starting drivers, I believe it's 23, we are now down to 16 drivers out on circuit with a further 3 in the pit lane. The attrition rate here at Donington in race number 3 has been incredibly high, and right now Alex Lewis, well, he'll be thinking about do not get involved in any major incidents. I think Nathan Willoughby as well, to be fair, they both absolutely seen a lot with regards to cars going wayward and whatnot, and it is a case as they try to go hunting after Cranswick. They'll take it slow here as Cranswick sets the fastest lap in terms of his personal best, so 105.66, Lewis at 105.4 versus Willoughby at 105.5. They are gradually closing up on the leader by a couple of attempts a lap, and that's all they need to do. They've got a lot of time available to them. They don't need to rush this pursuit. But meanwhile, speaking of rushing a pursuit, we can see here is the case of Paul Boucherat chasing after Watts, the silver driver, after what was a difficult start to his race. He's a lap down on the leader right now, and the privateer chasing after Duncan Watts and trying to use the gold driver to close up to Edmund Webb, who, well, oh goodness me, and Webb there's gone very wrong coming out of the old hairpin and under Starkey's bridge, and he's had to jump to the pits with that major moan. Another casualty to the Donington Park circuit, and well, that will promote a good number of drives up the order. And as they roll the way on through, it is the case that right now we can see that, well, Jack Atkinson here, he's currently in at P8, and the UK Sim Racing driver, from we're hearing, that he went straight into the pits at the start of the race, where he's found his way up the order. And well, my graphic does not lie, slightly off screen here, and I can tell you he has already had a pit stop, and well, he is making his way back up the order here, and the UK Sim Racing driver is charging, albeit he now has to make his way past Nags and Holloway before he can go hunting after a platinum driver in the form of Cy Anthony. And well, it will be the case that Atkinson will do them one by one as we make our way into the second quarter of this race. 10 minutes complete, still 30 to go here in the feature at Donington Park, and albeit with a bit of a depleted field, but still plenty of racing to come. As we see Atkinson here, who's going to get that first opportunity to make a pass on what is Boucherat, but Boucherat, to be fair, is a lap down, so staying well clear. That's a blue flag moment. But Atkinson is pursuing Nags, and Nags is not just going to move out of the way potentially, unless Nags is aware that he's going to be battling with a platinum driver and he feels the need to yield that track position. But right now things are starting to settle down, and we've had more retirements. In fact, we've had the retirement of what is Webb. We've also had the retirement of Hooper. It's the case we still do have Kevin Burke in the pits, but we are having an increasing roster of retirements, and we're now down to 15 cars out of the circuit, with a 16th car in the pit lane and being serviced at the moment. So we'll wait and see, but it is a long way ahead. And do keep in mind that we do have the strategy here in the feature race, and something we didn't mention, the feature will mean that we are expecting our drivers to take on fuel at some point in the race. It will be the case they have to come in for that all-important pit stop to take on fuel to go to the end. They can't do this on a single tank of fuel, but as we do look from what is our P8 driver of Atkinson to our leader of Carl Cranswick, right now all he needs to focus on is keeping that momentum and not stepping a wheel beyond the track limits here. Of course, putting a wheel onto those curves is dangerous enough as is, because it will unsettle the car a little bit. Putting a wheel beyond the curves onto the gravel, where we've seen so many drives, particularly at the old hairpin, and also, to be fair, at McLean's, it all goes wrong. And well, you don't want that, particularly when you're leading in your class, you're leading the overall race as well, and you are just having the cleanest race of the rounds so far as he makes his way down towards turns 9 and 10, and well, Cranswick flying. As meanwhile we can see that Lewis and Willoughby are closing up, albeit it's the case that Nathan Willoughby, who's a little bit further back in the camera, as you can see there, the number 00 car versus Alex Lewis, the number 15 car. Lewis is the faster of the two of them. He actually just pulled a whole half a second on Willoughby there, but then we do have Zelby, who's closing up to the pair of them gradually, and Cy Anthony has just set the fastest lap in the Platinum class, a 105.1, and well, he is showing a lot of pace as the Symphony Esports driver, and I think he's eager to get into that battle for what is the lead of the Platinum class. He wants to get there nice and early, and perhaps he's thinking about the strategy here. Perhaps he's trying to go for the all-in opening stint and then back it off on the second stint. Perhaps he's trying to deliver those fast laps and go for some sort of undercut, which would not be a surprise here. And in terms of the strategy, well, it's the case, this is the season over. We'll have to wait and see what works out best, but I get the feeling if the undercut is deployed successfully, it could work out quite nicely, particularly if you can get those tyres up to temperature nice and quickly as they roll their way on through. But meanwhile, Joe Newman into the pit lane. I think he's had a bit of an off at the final corner. He's had to come into the pit. It's gone wrong for Newman as he rolls went in. There's Burke still in the pit lane. He's still being repaired by the looks of things, and the car being served, but Newman coming on in. I think it's maybe a little bit early for an undercut. I think it may be the case that it's a pit stop which has been forced with regards to some damage on the car, and Newman in for his second pit stop so far as Nathan Willoughby here coming on through it. He's got Zelby literally over the back of him here, and well, Willoughby has really had a difficult last lap. In fact, he lost a whole second practically to Zelby, and now the gold driver all over the back of the platinum driver here as they make the way down into the old hairpin. We ride on board with the Effect Esports driver looking back from the gearbox, and as they make the way under Starkeys and heading up towards McLean, you can see he's going to get a faceful here of what is the gold driver behind as they make the way to the braking zone, but no pass this time. They both roll their way on through, and they'll be staying very close here. Of course, these two no strangers to one another. We've seen the gold driver absolutely loves taking the fight to the platinum drivers since the qualifying session, and he gets the better run here coming out of Coppice and now down the back straight. will he be able to go for the move? He's going to look to the inside here. Will it be, to be fair, not putting up a major defence? It's going to be a battle on the brakes. Into the braking zone they go. And as they roll the way on through, both drivers come through there. And they'll be up another position. And, well, I think Will be into the pits. In fact, he dives to the pits in. I think he's going for an early pit stop. Perhaps it's a sign of an undercut. Alternatively, there's some damage on the car that we don't know about here because he has come in a bit early, albeit we'll have to wait and see. I don't expect the first undercuts would be around 15-16 minutes, so perhaps he's going early. No, that's a fast repair. It is a case of in and out, so it's a case of damage on the car, and he is going once again as he makes his way back up to speed. And meanwhile, Daniel Naggs here, well, he has got behind him, and that is Atkinson, who is very close behind the silver driver. It's the platinum driver, but right now I think Naggs will be just wary of the fact that he's got a platinum driver behind him. He doesn't need to fight this. He can just simply let it go as he rolls his way down through turn number 4. I can see the comment there from my guy Sight in the Twitch chat saying that when is Rob Selby being promoted to platinum? Well, I think it's the case with the pace he's shown today. I think the organisers may raise an eyebrow and consider that, albeit not sure the intricacies about when the classes could potentially get switched or whatnot, but I'm sure that will be a consideration, or the rule makers will be thinking about that one given the pace he's shown. But of course, it's only round number 1. We've still got 6 rounds after this round. We've got plenty of racing action. You never know. Perhaps Selby could be a bit of a Donington specialist. When we go to our next venue, perhaps he's not as much of a specialist there. It's all a wait and see. We can see Daniel Naggs here, the silver driver. He's let Atkinson go. Very smart move, and now just pushing on. And speaking of another driver who I think will be not wanting to let a driver go, and that is Lee Aberdeen here. He's chasing after Nathan Willoughby, and Willoughby, who has come out after a very quick pit stop. I think it was a repair job. Here's the case. The Effect Esports driver has come out just ahead of Lee Aberdeen, and as they roll the way into turn number 1, here's the case. You can see there, Burke, who's now back out on circuit. It's great to see the silver driver has made his way back out after that very long stop and repair. It is the case. Burke down in P17. He is effectively 9 laps off the leader right now, but still bringing the car home. It will get him some points on the board if he finishes, so that will be critical. And as they make the way on through, it is the case that right now the Effect Esports driver here, Nathan Willoughby, will be under that pressure. And, well, can he hold off the storm behind, or will Lee Aberdeen be bringing all of the Highlands down with him in terms of that momentum? As you can see, that Willoughby goes wide, and Lee Aberdeen takes the position. And further in the rear of the pitch, we've got a car off, and that is Harvey Antonio Blair, who's had a bit of an off. And, well, I think Antonio Blair's had a very difficult night, the number 13 driver, and he's currently running P22 overall, P8 in the silver class. But to be fair, a large number of the places in front of him are drivers who are out of this race. So if he can get himself onto their lap and get ahead of those drivers, he'll pick up some key points here. And that's what it's all about sometimes. Just keep your head down and get to the finish. I think Blair just struggling with the car here today at Donington. But that's why we have silver, gold and platinum. Of course, platinum being the top drivers in terms of pace and the car, gold being in the middle, and then the silver drivers being rookies by comparison. I think Blair here really just trying to settle into the rhythm of the F4 machine as he makes his way on through. But as he does, we do look up to Cy Anthony here, who is absolutely flying, it must be said. He has been a bit of a back and forth battle with Zelby only moments ago, but right now the Symphony Esports driver, well, to give you an idea, he just set the fastest lap of the race that last time around, a 104.71, an absolutely staggering lap. He is flying right now, is the Welshman, as he makes his way out of the final corner. And as he crosses the timing line this time and goes on to another lap, well, it's not quite as fast a lap, but he is closed up to back of Zelby, and, well, Lewis, well, it's the case, his platinum rival, the leader in the platinum class, is only now the best part of about 3.5 seconds up the road. So Science, he definitely smelling blood in the water. He's going hunting. He can see Lewis up ahead of him in the distance. He's just got to be wary of the fact he's got a very strong gold driver in front of him in the form of Zelby, and that will lead to a little bit of a complication potentially. We'll wait and see how Zelby plays this out as they roll the way on through. But as they make their way up towards what is turn number 7, it is one of situations whereby I think Carl Cranswick right now will also be thinking to himself, as we say hello to Carl in the Twitch chat, that leading up front, he's got clear in front, but you'll see that Lewis is catching up to him gradually, and I think he'll also be a little bit aware of the fact that Zelby is slowly creeping closer. When we last looked at the gap between Cranswick and Zelby, it was around 6.6 seconds, and over the last 7 to 8 minutes, it's come down to 4.8 seconds, but still plenty of time to go, and it is the case that strategy also a major factor. But right now Cranswick doing everything he needs to in terms of just leading this race, keeping the pace consistent, sets a 105.1, his personal best of the race, and actually matching the pace of Zelby as well. So getting the job done at this time, but we'll wait and see how it plays out in long practices. Meanwhile, we do look back to Cy Anthony here, who is closing up to Zelby and continue to do so. as they roll their way now down through turn number 4 and heading up towards what is McLean's once again here. At this point in the race, drivers will be starting to think about the strategy more and more. If they haven't already pitted, then they'll be thinking about it in terms of, right, when do I go? Who am I racing with? And do I watch out for when they pit? So, for example, in the case of Anthony, he'll be keeping an eye on Lewis, who's just up the road. Keep in mind that gap is in the region now. In fact, it's opened up that gap a little bit to about 3.7 seconds. So he'll be thinking, okay, how can I work around this? I've got Zelby in front of me, who's showing similar pace. I'm not really finding my way past the gold driver at this point in time. Do I come in? Do I try and get myself some clear air? And given looking at our track map right now, which may not be available to Anthony's team down the pit lane, it is the case if he was to pit, he would come out in a bit of a crowded track, we would believe at this time. So it might be the case he's trying to outlast the rest of his peers, as Cranswick sets another personal best of 105.06. It's the case of Cranswick getting a move on, and I think wary of the fact that Zelby's not too far behind him. Zelby responding with a 104.97, so it is the case the two of them exchanging lap times, and Zelby the upper hand or two, but so Anthony here closing on up. He's definitely pushing, and as we ride on board here with the Symphony Esports driver, it's going to be not too long before he considers that move as he makes it out to the McLean's corner, this time on lap number 19. As he rolls his way on in here, can he get the run he needs out of Coppice to go for the move down the back straight? As you can see, they're losing out a little bit through McLean's as they come into Coppice corner. This is where he'll want to really attack that exit. He does. Zelby gets a good run as well. There's going to be no change this time. He'll just have to tuck in behind and wait once again. He makes by the gearbox. A little bit of a short shift there as well, saving a bit of fuel, running in the slipstream of Zelby. That's something he can do, of course. If he feels like he's just not got the pace to come through. Takes a bit too much of the sausage curve down turn 2. You can see how the car was unsettled, but he kept it together very nicely, and just got to be aware of hitting those curves too high and what it can do to the suspension of the tyres. He makes his way into turn 1 and rolling on through here, just biding his time. I think matching the pace of the driver in front and using that as his pace car as they make the way down. Of course, these two are racing. I make it sound very casual, but in this case, these two really are racing hard and pushing one another. And indeed, the leaders also pushing one another hard. And to be fair, Cranswick and Lewis are not off the pace of these guys. They're all exchanging within the same region of about 3 to 4 attempts. One another's lap times are top 4. So it's going to come down to individual mistakes and who can keep this pace up and long, who can protect the tyres, and then when they make that strategic pit stop. So right now, we are waiting to see how it plays out in the long term. But we do look from them to a little bit further down the order, and Jack Atkinson here, who has made his way into P6 overall, currently in P3 in the Platinum class. He's 18 seconds off of the leaders. His next target up the road is Holloway. That is Adam Holloway, the gold driver. As meanwhile, hold up a second, we've had, it looks like the move's been made here by Anthony down into the chicane. We just cut away for a brief moment, and Anthony goes to the move. Well, he's got it on Zelby, and well, whether it was the case that Zelby went a little bit wide or not, I'm not hearing anything about Zelby running wide. I think it is the case that Anthony just getting the move done there. I think Zelby may not have fought it too hard for the simple reason that Zelby's really battling with Cranswick, and as he's battling with Lewis as they make the way on down the hill here, down through the crane of curves and in towards the old hairpin, as Daniel nags into the pits for his scheduled stop, as is Nathan Willoughby, and it is the case Willoughby coming in again. He's already visited the pits. He will now be putting the fuel in the car, and it is going to be multiple pit stops for the Platinum driver, and keeping in mind our top 5 have yet to pit. As Nags makes his way out the pit lane here, where's he going to emerge in all this? Well, I think the good news for him, he's going to re-emerge in a rather comfortable P8, because the next driver behind is Chris Hitchen, and Hitchen right now P2 in the silver class is making his way on through, and Hitchen a long way back. So this is really going the way of Daniel Nags in the silver class right now as he's making his way on through, and the privateer just needs to run this to the end as he makes his way on down through at turn number 4. And indeed, as we see there from El Neil, if you are new here to UK Sim Racing today, do not forget to follow. It's the case. We've got the Formula 4 series here. We've also got an upcoming series as well, including an all-new GT3 Championship season, which you won't want to miss. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. There's plenty going on at UK Sim Racing, as will be broadcasted on this Twitch channel, and you won't want to miss all the racing action. If the Formula 4 has been any indication, there's plenty to come in the remainder of 2022, and you want to be there for every moment of it. And right now, Cranswick will want to be there for every apex of Donington Park, for the simple reason that he has continued to, in fact, he's opened up that gap to Lewis slightly, although I think Lewis has had a little bit of traffic there of Paul Smithhurst just in front. Not saying that Smithhurst has held him up or anything on those lines, it's just the case I think that Smithhurst there was in a bit of an awkward position and moved out of the way eventually, and it's just one of the ways the traffic falls at Donington. There are a couple of corners where traffic can struggle to get out the way, And when I say traffic, I mean drivers who are a lap down, of course. We can't insult drivers by calling them traffic, that wouldn't be fair. It's just the way it flows in terms of the race. And when there's instants early on, you do find a lot of drivers who are lap down. You can see it on the timing tower. We do have a number of drivers at least one lap down, if not a bit more. As they roll the way on around this time, we see Zelby staying close to the back of Science. It's into the pit is Adam Holloway. He comes on in for his scheduled stop. He was gradually closing up to Zelby, but he's come on in as he parks up. It will be, we presume, a rather quick pit stop. As we see, that is making his way out of the pit lane. Well, it is the case that Jack Atkinson has already gone on around. I think that was Sydney Millen who's just made their way back onto the circuit coming out the pit lane. But Holloway has made his pit stop, and well, Jack Atkinson gains another place. He's continued to make his way up the order here. How far can he go? That is the question that we're waiting to see the answer to. As right now, he's just continued to make his way up the order rather rapidly, albeit we still have 15 minutes of racing to go now. And how far can the Englishman go by then? Can he potentially get a win in the Platinum class here in race number 3? Well, that would be a story to tell, but we'll wait and see what the final page of that story is hold. As meanwhile, we look from him to a bit further up the order once again, and to Alex Lewis, who comes into the pits here. He's coming in from the lead of the Platinum class, and there's Cy Anthony as well. They're both in. It will be a battle on the fuel gun here as they roll on into the pit lane. And as they get the fuel in, well, we can see immediately a very quick pit stop there for Lewis. What about for Cy Anthony? How long a pit stop would it be? In fact, he's gained in the pits here, and Anthony is going to close up. And I wonder whether when he was running behind Exelby, he did a lot of fuel savings. That was a very quick stop in the pits, and as they make the way on out and down towards turn number 1, it is the case that Cy Anthony definitely gaining momentum here and closing up to the back of the drivers in front, and particularly Lewis. But meanwhile, Jack Atkinson is now your leader in the Platinum class, but we do wonder whether he's going to have the fuel to go to the end, or whether it's going to be a lot of fuel saving and perhaps even a very short final pit stop. We'll wait and see. As the only two drivers who've yet to pit are Cranswick and also Zelby, who are our leaders right now overall and in the gold class. But as they make the way on through, it also would appear, and that's a good spot there by Douglas or W. It looks like Alex took tyres, and well, if that is the case, he's going to have a lot of grip here for the remainder of the race. A lot more grip than Cy Anthony if he can get those tyres switched on, of course, as they make the way through Coppice and down towards the chicane. As Cranswick and Zelby both into the pits here, and oh goodness me, what's gone wrong for Zelby? He's had to reverse that. I think he's missed his pit box, and well, with that, Cranswick's actually going to be given a bit of a breather. It looks as though there Cranswick actually having quite a long pit stop by comparison with Zelby as they make the way on out. And well, are they going to get some of the Platinum drivers in between? They are, and this is going to work out really well for Cranswick in the wider scheme of things, because he will have a couple of Platinum drivers who are close together. And will they put their differences aside to try and chase down Atkinson, or will they battle one another and give Cranswick essentially a buffer to what is the driver behind of Holloway and Zelby? In fact, Adam Holloway has come out ahead of Zelby, so that miss of the pit box has caused Adam Holloway to take P2 of the gold class. And as they roll the way on through at this point, it is the case, and we can see there Cole Cranswick clarifying in the Twitch chat, overfueled the car. Well, he may have a bit of excess fuel to get to the end of the race, but it is the case that right now Cranswick has got a nice advantage, and can he consolidate that for the win? It would appear it's that way, but we've got 13 minutes, in fact 12.5 plus the final lap to tell. And well, we can see now that Zelby has got to go on the offensive here, because that delayed pit stop has really cost him dearly. Just missing his pit box, he's now lost the place, and indeed he's got a lot of ground to cover if he wants to win. He's now 10 seconds off the leader, and he is 1.3 seconds off of Holloway, who's in P2 in the gold class, as he makes his way to the end of lap number 25. As he rolls his way on through, it is the case that we do look from Zelby to one of our drivers a bit further down the order, and we look in particular to Sydney Millen here, who is just in front of Zelby and actually moves out the way here into turn 1. Zelby there, I think, wondering, okay, well, you're going a bit slow into turn 1. I appreciate you moving out of the way, but not that slow. I think there's a bit of hesitation there, but it's the case the French driver just playing it safe and currently running P4 in the silver class, P13 overall. In terms of the pursuit or the chase, trying to chase after Paul Boucherat. And where is Paul Boucherat, I hear you ask? Well, right now, the P11 driver is making their way down into the old hairpin, so practically almost a lap up on Sydney Millen at this point. So right now, those incidents earlier on have really cost the privateer time, as we see a bit of smoke there. In fact, that's a driver off. I think that's Harvey Antonio Blair who's headed off. But to be fair, Harvey Antonio Blair, despite the spin, has got back up to P17 to P6 in the silver class now. So it is the case that Blair has moved up the order by just staying out on track and getting the car on home. and this is going to help them get some good points as they make the way on around. But meanwhile, we must cut from them to a bit further up the order, and we look in particular here to Adam Holloway, who now has Zelby over the back as we ride on board the gearbox here of Holloway from BPR Esports, and that is Zelby. It is the case that these images are not deceptive. Zelby may appear bigger than he seems. It's not the case. He is big. He's looming large because he is chasing down the Briton here, and Zelby knows he's got to put in a huge effort with just over 10 minutes on the clock if he wants to win of this race, or at least a P2, as Holloway is not going to give this one up. There is no doubt about it. As they roll the way into the old hairpin, Holloway goes a little bit deep. We've got a bit of dust being kicked up there, and I believe that's Lee Aberdeen who's had a run wide. I think we've got another car up there as well. I think that's also Alex Lewis and Paul Smithers. But right now Holloway is defending versus Zelby as they roll their way through turn number 7, through McLean's. And as they come through, in fact, Smithers was the driver we saw go off with Lee Aberdeen there. We had clarification, but right now Holloway under huge pressure as they make the way down the back straight, and as they come roaring on down, well, where will Zelby go for the move? I think he'll go for it into turn 1 if he can nail the chicane run, as we do jump on board here with Zelby, who's looking for the move, but he's not able to get it here. But now he'll look to get the momentum, has to fight the steering wheel a little bit, go through the chicane. He's not close enough. In fact, Holloway getting the better exit of the two of them as they make the way on down towards turn number 1. 10 minutes on the clock, approximately another 10 to 11 laps on the board, and as they roll through it, Zelby definitely taking that time. Now Holloway goes a little bit deep into the corner there, and as they're really trying to hook the car up, and Zelby puts that pressure on as they roll down through Crater, in towards the old hairpin they go, and as they do, Zelby dives the inside. No, he waits. You can see that Holloway really struggling on initial rotation under braking. The car just not stable anymore, and as they make the way up towards McLean's, I think Zelby's going to be thinking, I'm not going to get it here, I'll get it to Coppins and on the back straight. But as they roll the way through, Zelby as close as he needs to be. He better not reach out and touch that rear ring though, otherwise FIA would say he gets a $20,000 fine. But as he rolls his way through turn number 8 through Coppins, he won't be thinking about reaching out and touching that rear wing. He'll be thinking about reaching around for the move, and as he makes his way down the back straight here, will he be on that? He does look to the inside. They're side by side coming down into the braking zone. It's going to be neck and neck, but Zelby goes deep on the brakes. Now can he get it hooked up and clear the chicane in time? He does indeed. And Holloway now, will Holloway try and come back into turn 1? They're nose to tail as they come across the timeline here. They roll onto another lap. Into the braking zone they go, and Zelby just then nothing ahead. Holloway cannot come back. Zelby gains P2 in the gold class, P5 overall, and now can he hunt down Cranswick with only another 9 minutes to go plus the final lap. Cranswick the best part of what is 11 seconds up the road. We'll have to wait and see, but right now Zelby's going to be pushing on. And meanwhile, speaking of leaders here, you can see that Atkinson and Kyle Cranswick are coming together, and the gold driver here currently running in P2, leading. He has been closed up on Atkinson, arm over fist, and that last lap for Jack Atkinson was a 107.1. I think Atkinson's trying to fuel save to get to the end of this race without another pit stop. I don't think Atkinson's got anywhere near enough fuel, because to be 2 seconds off the pace, and we're not hearing that Atkinson's had an off anywhere. I think Atkinson's really struggling on that fuel situation right now. Having pitted so early, and Atkinson, as he comes and is that into the pits. No, he weaves off racing line there. He's got to be fuel saving like crazy to bring that car home, because it's going so slowly. And Cranswick here will just make him look pedestrian by diving to the inside. Well, Atkinson will go for the cutback here. He's not going to be caught sleeping, Atkinson, and Cranswick's going to have to work for it. That's why Atkinson's a platinum driver, given the fact that he's going to battle for it even when he's not got the fuel to battle. And Cranswick now, will he be the braver of the breakers? He will be indeed. As you can see, Atkinson there backs off, but I think Cranswick may have had his heart in his mouth, seeing Atkinson come roaring back up the inside, and thinking for a moment he got the move done. He just needed to work it a little bit harder. But right now, Jack Atkinson, your platinum leader, is dropping down the order in terms of pace like a stone. And how far will he plummet given the time remaining and the fuel saving he's got to do here? And it's the case that Cy Anthony is roaring after him right now. Cy Anthony on that last lap, a 105.24. Jack Atkinson at 106.49. That tells the story. That's 1.2 seconds gained over a single lap, and I think that's going to continue here as they make the way down the back straight. And Cy Anthony absolutely on a charge. He's on a mission here to take the win in the Platinum class in a race that has seen everything happen. I tell you, everything with regards to cars going left, right and centre on the open lap, instance at pretty much every single corner. The only thing we haven't had is a spot of rain, but iRacing doesn't let us have that for the time being. Coming to an iRacing platform near you soon. But right now, Cy Anthony absolutely charging and trying to close down Atkinson with not long to go. But as he comes running on through, I can also tell you that Adam Holloway here is really on the charge behind Zelby as well. These two, they both want to take on Cranswick. They've brought the gap down already to 8.5 seconds to Cranswick. They are lapping a whole second a lap faster than Cranswick right now. But the problem is they just do not have time on their side as Holloway goes a bit deep there. And based on the current rate of closures, they'll be being on what is low 105, so 105.0 versus Cranswick on a 105.8, 8 tenths a second on a gap which is 8 seconds. It's not enough, I don't think. I think they need to be lapping approximately a second to 1.2 seconds faster to have a chance of taking that lead come the final lap. I think Cranswick's got enough unless he makes a mistake, but we will look to Science here as he chases down Atkinson in the meantime, and as he rolls his way through the chicane. It is the case. Anthony very close. In fact, he's close enough to be in the slipstream now. And as they make the way on down, in fact, that's Hitch. In fact, oh goodness me, well, we're getting a bit mistaken there. My apologies. It's the case that Anthony's made a moment somewhere out on circuit because he's just dropped to the best part of 4 seconds back from Jack Atkinson. And well, we're not sure what's happened, but Atkinson is now, well, he's 4 seconds safe. But how safe is 4 seconds safe? That is the question. That last lap from Atkinson, a 105.8. I think he's just balancing the fuel out now. I think he might feel as though he's got comfortable pace, which is the high 105s, and if he can keep delivering that, he'll be safe. The question is, of course, he could apply it in theory, but doing it in practice is another thing, because driving to a very specific pace is something which the ultimate legends in Formula 1 have done, such as Michael Schumacher, where if he was told a lap time he had to deliver, he would go and deliver it and keep banging in the laps. And that's what Atkinson's got to do right now. He's got to know the lap time based on the fuel he's got to save in the car and keep banging in that lap time if he wants to hold on to the lead of the Platinum class by the end as he makes his way down the start finish straight. And if he could close up to Cranswick, of course, he would gain in the toe there, but I don't think he's close enough, as that lap was a 106.0, so Atkinson is showing consistency. Where's Sciency? There's Sciency. He's already found his way past Hitchin as they roll way through. Alex Lewis also trying to come past Hitchin here, as Chris Hitchin in what is the silver class, who is a lap down, and Hitchin running P2 in the class, and Daniel Nags a bit further up the road leading the silver class. But right now you can see here how all the leaders coming on through past the silver class driver as they try to all cover through quick succession. Adam Holloway missing out here as Hitchin pulls aside after the old hairpin, and as Holloway now gives that pursuit, he's fallen back enough to 8 tenths a second behind Selby. I think it is the case that he's just having to watch and wait for that opportunity to rematerialise with 4 minutes on the clock plus the final lap. Whereas they make the way up the hill, we do have a very close battle right now for the overall podium, and it is Sciency who is being chased by Alex Lewis. You can see Lewis there and not too far behind, and then Selby also in this mix, albeit the gold driver, I think, focusing just as much on chasing down Cranswick as he is in terms of trying to get into that overall podium. And we will see what is going to happen as they roll the way around. But as they come across the timeline, that time is continuing to tick down. They're now onto lap number 34 under race conditions in race number 3 here at Donington Park. And we can see that meanwhile Adam Holloway, well, it is the case, he has closed up to Selby in the run to turn 1. Takes a little bit of extra run-off curb there, and I think it's the case, may have got a wheel hooked onto that curb and couldn't quite get off it until he ran to the grass. But Holloway now trying to come back strong here with not long to go. He's battling, I think, for P2. I think they're going to let Cranswick go. I think Cranswick's done enough here to be safe unless he makes a major mistake. And Holloway very close to the back of Selby as they make the way up the hill, and in fact as they come on through, Holloway tries to nip into the inside into turn 6. We saw what happened earlier when somebody tried that in the gold class. It didn't work out, and we saw 2 drivers in a major incident. But meanwhile, oh goodness me, and it looks as though Science's coming through, and Jack Atkinson has had an off track in the run up towards Coppice, and that's cost him dearly. And Science is now into the lead of the class. Alex Lewis comes on through as well, and as they make the way down into the chicane, it's now for Science to lose in the Platinum class, with Lewis only 1.4 seconds back. They now had 2.5 minutes on the clock here, only 3 laps remaining, including the lap they've gone on to. And as they come charging down towards turn 1 this time, the stakes couldn't be high here in race number 3 in the Platinum class, where it's Anthony versus Lewis to the end, and Anthony's the one with the advantage right now with 1.4 seconds as we focus here on second place man in the Platinum class of Alex Lewis, and he tries to give that pursuit. But Lewis in turn does have the battle for second in the gold class right behind him, breathing down his neck of Rob Selby, who has shown so much pace that I think many would be thinking that he's a platinum driver already, given the pace he's shown. Right now the privateer is putting that pressure on Lewis, and Lewis right now probably be thinking, oh come on Rob, don't annoy me, just let me race. But as they make the way for, I think Selby's saying, yeah, I want to race you, Mr. Platinum guy. And as they make the way up towards Coppice, so you can see Selby already teasing out the move there, literally saying to him, look, I'm coming for this whether you like it or not. And as they make the way through Coppice, And now down the back straight, Zelby's going to be as close as he ever needs to be. Now Lewis puts the car in the middle of the road. In fact, he pulls the car to the inside. Zelby's going to go around the outside to inside if he wants this done. Lewis is going to defend here. He's not going to be given the right to chase after Anthony. And right now, Zelby being blocked there means that Holloway's going to get right into this fight as they go into the penultimate lap. Into the pits is Atkinson. He couldn't quite do on the fuel in the end. But meanwhile, Holloway looking to the inside of versus Zelby in the battle for P2 in the gold class. Battle for P4 overall, no change this time as they roll their way on through and down towards the old hairpin. They go through the crane of curves, but as they come and charge on down, it is the case that Atkinson has had a quick splash and dash. He'll be safe to come back out in P6 overall as Nags has only just come through the chicane, our silver class leader in P7, so no worries there for Atkinson. But right now we stay focused on the battle between Holloway and Zelby as they make their way up towards McLean's, and as they do, no change again as they roll their way through the corner. It is the case the trio here with Lewis at the front of the pair of them. The Platinum driver, well, he's just trying to hold them off, I think, for the remainder of this race as they make their way down the back straight. But as they come and charge with that, you can see there Lewis literally pulling to the inside and going as defensive as you ever want to, coming down the national lane towards the chicane as they make the way, and Lewis having to block Zelby, but Zelby's going to try and go outside to inside, and he gets it done. And Rob Zelby, one of the best moves of the race, round the outside of the chicane, and I think Alex Lewis being made to look stationary there by comparison, as now Holloway's going to try and go around the outside into one. He can't get it, he has to back off there as Lewis cuts across, and as they make the way around this final lap, the battle for P3 overall is on here. Forget about the battle for P2 in the gold class. These three are going for it on that final spot on the overall podium, and you love to see it as they come roaring on down here towards the old hairpin, and Holloway's got to try and find a way to close up and put the pressure on here, and I think it's more about Lewis trying to come back at Zelby at this point, but we'll wait and see as they roll the way through. Oh, goodness me, almost contact there between Lewis and Holloway as they make the way up into McLean's. It almost came to tears there. Keep it clean, lads, it's not long to go. Oh, goodness me, and it's gone wrong there for Alex Lewis, who went wide, and Adam Holloway, who's literally had to come off the throttle with a spin, and Holloway is going to stay P5 because P6 is a long way back. That's not the way you'd want it, but meanwhile, a driver who's held on from start to finish, it's Carl Cranswick for as he comes out the final corner here. It's going to be a drag race to the line, but I think he's done enough, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be your winner as Carl Cranswick in the gold class takes the winning class and the win overall in race 3 ahead of Cy Anthony, who is your winner in the platinum class, P2 overall, and it will be Rob Zelby who completes the overall podium there, P3, in what was a brilliant race of our top 3. Indeed, Alex Lewis coming home P4, Adam Holloway in the end P5. And then we can see here a little bit further back, Jack Atkinson, after that daring strategy, just not enough fuel to go to the end, but he sets the fastest lap of the class of the race right at the end there on the final lap, P6 overall. And then here is Daniel Nags, ladies and gentlemen, your silver class winner. And the story of this driver, just keep it consistent and not do anything wrong. And in the end, Daniel Nags coming away with a P7 overall and a well-deserved win in the silver class. Lee Aberdeen in P8. And I believe we then do have Chris Hitchin P9 and Paul Bouchard coming home in P10. Well, my goodness, it's because we've still got a couple of drives out on circuit, but I think everyone has now finished this race. And unfortunately, we don't have the ability to bring you the full set of race results, but we can tell you that Bouchard P10 in the end, Smithhurst P11, Watts P12, Millen P13, and there was Kimber P14, and then Blair P15, and Willoughby, the last side drivers to be classified, I believe, albeit 17 laps down in the pits, P16. Well, with that, it's time for us to take a look at our class standings with regards to after round number 1, because we have had all the verdicts coming from our stewards. So let's bring you those class standings. So we start off with the platinum class, and we can see after round 1 at Donington, it is Lee Aberdeen who leads on 37 points, only 1 point clear of Jack Atkinson in the end, and Cy Anthony third on 35 points. It is incredibly close between this top 3, and then we have a 6-point gap to Alex Lewis in P4. Paul Smithhurst in P5 on 23 points. A difficult day at the office for Paul Smithhurst, showing a lot of pace, however. He's one to watch in round number 2, definitely. Nathan Willoughby the same. Not the day to remember for Willoughby, but he's definitely got that pace there, and he's on 22 points, P6, only ahead of Sam Gunstone on countback. And then Austin William Campbell, P8 there with 20 points. The rest of our drivers, Dominic Roberts, Gordon Ramsay, Jerome Lamy, Joseph Lowe, Keith Sharp, Murray Luca, and Jin Veenman, all not turning up today and not scoring any points. Now, meanwhile, in the gold class, I can tell you that after one round of 7, it is Adam Holloway who is your leader by 4 points over Carl Cranswick. And Cranswick really showing the story of consistency and staying out of trouble is what gets you the points. That's why he's in P2 then. Holloway on pace, the leader. Rob Zelby on 32 points there. Definitely the fastest of our gold drivers to date, but at the same time involved in a few incidents and not quite getting all the points he wanted, and he'll build on that for round number 2. Joe Newman at P4 and 30 points, 3 ahead of Jack Werrell, and then Duncan Watts and Samuel Hooper completing those with points in P7. Chris Edisford, Craig Walters, Dan Blackwell, Duncan Roberts, John Higgins Jr., Matt Milner, Ollie Pimley, Roxanna Marshall and Ryan Paul Smith, all not turning up today and not scoring any points. Meanwhile, in the silver class, the last of our classes, Daniel Nags, our leader at the moment, in a rather dominant form by 11 points ahead of Paul Boucherat. But I do think that right now it is the case that our second place driver may feel as though results went against him today due to bad luck, and he'll be coming back strong in round number 2. Chris Hitchin behind only on result count back in P3. Again, another driver to watch after a brilliant win in race number 2. Kieran Wesley Burke in P4 and 32 points. And then we do have the best part of 13 points to Sydney Millen. And then it's Eden Frazina in P6 ahead of Edmund Webb, Harvey Antonio Blair and Craig Tilleston in P9. And we have Tom Carroll, Stephen Ray, Michael Kettlewell, Matthias Melhorn, Matthew Green, Martin Rendell, Mark Cadmore, Liam Whittingham, Lee B. Bailey, Graham Nicol and Chris Modridge, all there on 0 points, having not turned up at Donington. Well, those are the standings after round number 1. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. And if you have enjoyed the show today, be sure to follow the Twitch channel for UK Sim Racing. And if you want to know more about the UK Sim Racing community in terms of what we do, the events we put on, and else, we could advise you to go to our official website, that is uksimracing.co.uk. Alternatively, go to our official Twitter, that being at twitter.com/UK Sim Racing _ for further information. But now we must pack up our bags and get ready for the racing in 2 weeks' time. And that will be at Alton Park for round number 2. And I should stress that the broadcast for round number 2 will be another post-round broadcast, so it won't be brought to you live, and the broadcast will be brought quite late on. It will be on Friday, the 8th of July 2022, due to scheduling. But still, whilst we're going to have effectively what is a 3-week wait for the broadcast, I can assure you, if today is anything to go by, it will not be one to miss, because Alton Park, if we thought Donington Park would serve up battles and close overtaking, Alton Park will serve it up by the plentiful. But until then, you'll just have to wait for the next instalment of the UK Sim Racing Formula 4 Championship for 2022. Until then, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We have been UK Sim Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain a Spit. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, have a great weekend and remember to stay on track. Good night.